The Halo universe is filled with wonder, mystery, and fascinating discoveries around every corner. With so much to explore, four friends decided it was about time that they boot up their consoles and discuss this universe that has grabbed their attention since childhood. JumperScape Audio kindly welcomes you to join them in the library.
Hello everybody, welcome back to The Library, the show where we talk about Halo lore, and today we're talking about Halo Wars again. We're coming back to it because I promise this time we'll have more to say.
I hope you guys are catching a theme here.
What's the theme?
We're circling back.
I mean, I would certainly hope they caught that by now. We're
I'm
three
pretty
episodes
sure.
in.
Well, not even that. I'm pretty sure you openly said we're kind of circling back. I don't think it was supposed to be a mystery.
Well, hey, on that note, so we're circling back to the games that we've already talked about this season.
In case you didn't figure it out yet.
But we're talking about the stuff that's more deep, the deep lore. By that, it's like barely surface level. It's just you might not have even looked.
Open up Halopedia and type in Halo Wars. We're just going to regurgitate that to you.
No.
guys.
I know plenty. This is just to make sure that I don't forget stuff. That's basically the only reason why I use Halopedia. I know stuff. I have to be able to rep the fact that I know stuff, okay?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You know stuff?
Uninformed.
Are you about to give me a
more.
test?
How many personnel are on the Finnegan's Wake?
Speaking of Finnegan's Wake, we have a guest. It's Boomerang, the guy who actually is making probably, not even probably. It is straight up one of the best machinima creations in the new wave of Halo machinima, where everyone is making actual cinematic masterpieces. Welcome, Boomerang, to the show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your show?
Well, hi, thanks for having me. I'm Boomerang. I am the creator of Crash, which is a Halo 3 machinima that, funny enough, I had kind of envisioned back in 2011 at the age of like 14 or 15. And
Bonkers.
then fast forward 12 years, and then I'm like, oh, I should make that. I should get around to that finally. And so we released episode 1 last year, and the algorithm thankfully picked it up, and we got a really strong fan base, and we've been going strong ever since then. I'm not sure what else to say, honestly.
No, that was good.
That was beautiful.
That was fantastic. That's just straight truth. Well, it's fantastic to have you on. I know it's completely random to have you on for Halo Wars, but it really is just the fact that we really wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, I can say as one of the stars of Crash, it's been great working with you.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. It'd be good to get you back on.
Yeah. Where's my paycheck, by the way?
That's a great question. Let me get back to you on that.
Just get a rain check on that one.
I was getting ready for the Discord leave call sound.
A fun fact about that. But yeah, no, straight up, that is actually an important fact for anybody who's listening who doesn't know about this. First of all, aside from the fact that I love Crash as a show, I enjoy. I'm one of those guys that actually does enjoy a very focused on dialogue, focused on clever writing. I love those kind of shows. And so going into Crash, and it was exactly that. I mean, the algorithm obviously attacked me, just like a lot of other people that watched episode 1. Which, I don't know. Did you even expect do you know how the algorithm even caught on that strong on episode 1?
I have no idea. Actually, it was really fun. So I chatted with the cast before we released it. And when we were talking, they were like, so what happens if nobody watches it? And I'll be like, I'll just keep making it because I just want to make it. And they're like, okay, cool. That's good to hear. And then I remember when episode 1 launched, I did a watch party with the cast, and we all watched it together. And they were like, oh, that was surprisingly good. I really enjoyed that. And then a week later, I came back and I'm like, 50,000 people have watched it. And they are all like, what? Huh? Just out of nowhere. And so I have no clue. I have no clue how it happened, but I am very grateful that it did.
I love how you positioned the cast being like, oh, wow, that was actually good. It's like the cast was like, man,
oh yeah,
I'm sure this is passable.
See, I was certain it was going to be bad. So I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh, did a thing that wasn't bad for once. That's great. Making progress.
I mean, it is really impressive stuff. I think probably a lot of people who have actually watched the show, which, by the way, tying all this in, me and James made a cameo in episode 6. So you should definitely watch through the entire series and then just pay very close attention to certain black suits who are in the road and preventing a little bit of it cause a little conniption in the middle of the plot, so you can enjoy them. But it was impressive because I think a lot of people who watch the show will be immediately caught off guard by your use of mods. It is so. I think it was it Vengeful Vadam that made a post on Twitter recently that said that it was some of the smoothest uses of modding that Machinima has ever used.
Yeah, that was it. I love Vadam. He's just wonderful. He's on our cast and crew because he kind of helps out with some modding stuff occasionally now.
That's awesome.
And actually, we didn't use mods until episode 5.
Yeah, I noticed that
before
part,
then. Yeah, before then we were filming. I should say I was filming because I do most of the show by myself. But I was filming on my Xbox Series X LAN party connected to my Xbox One S with multiple controllers, just body acting. And so we used Gary's mod for like extra animations that were limited up until episode 4. And then episode 5 was when we brought on some modders who started with custom maps, animations, weapons, and all that sort of stuff. And we've been trying really hard to include them gradually without it being like, oh guys, look at these mods. It just has to be kind of like part of the story because it's just another tool in the toolbox that you can use.
Yeah. I mean, I do remember very well in 6, one of my favorite moments in that entire thing that actually had me like, I had to pause the video because you know how sometimes people have that reaction where they like stand up from their chair and they're just like, oh, they're freaking out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that moment happened when the captain just picked up target. I was like, no way he just did that.
I'm surprised by how many people have messaged me being like, that was one of my favorite parts. I'm like, that was such a small sight gag, but I'm so glad that people liked it. No, that was super fun. We just replaced rocket. We just gave him the rocket launcher animations, and it's still in the mod. Like you could just go and pick up target as like a weapon in the mod.
I mean, it's just fun. I think it's just because the show itself. I think to help some people understand, because I think I'm going to just bet that no matter what, there's probably some folks out there who watched episode 1, saw it as a dialogue heavy show. That's not their taste. So then they just don't get what the appeal is, right? There probably are some folks out there like that. It's the fact that there is a lot of subversion of expectation in that show that you've put together. There, like, I wasn't expecting seeing aircraft flying overhead subtly. I wasn't expecting seeing rain on high ground. I wasn't expecting pretty much any of the stuff that you were throwing in to try to make things a little more spicy and less, 2012 Halo 3 machinima, all on the same map, but with different characters and different plots, despite them all looking the same. Probably the most ballsy of the whole thing is usually people take machinima to make their own story within Halo's universe, but you are straight up making a story within it, taking place during it that still fits within the fold. And I mean, that's first of all, you're a maniac. Second of all,
yeah, I know. I don't know. Yeah, I'm aware.
It's impressive. That's the thing. Like, second of all, it's impressive because it's like you didn't have to do all that. It wasn't like you could have easily just gone with the expectation subversion and made the show just, wow, look at these cool things that we can do with mods, make things look smooth. Look at these cool things we can do with Gmod. All that stuff. But you took it a step further. You actually added an extra bit of challenge by making it in the universe that people already know. So then you can make references to things that have happened in the universe, call back to them, and people will actually have a good idea of what is going on in your story because of that. That's genius, my friend.
Thank you. Actually, one of the things I'm really proud about the show is that many of our cast have never played Halo before, actually. And well, no, I mean, that's not the thing I'm proud of. I mean, I guess maybe a little bit. But like, I'm proud of the fact that though they've never played or watched Halo and they're not familiar with the lore at all, they said that the story is remarkably easy to follow and easy to pick up on things, even if you're not familiar with Halo lore. But if you know Halo lore, there's a bunch of little things there that you're like, oh, I know that. I know what that is. Like, and it kind of enriches the experience. That was definitely by design, but I'm super happy that so far I've actually met a lot of people who've gotten into Halo because of Crash, which is super neat because Halo means so much to me, and getting people in to share in my hyperfixations is one of the many joys of life.
I agree.
Yeah, James, room 237 streaming on Fridays.
Thanks. I more meant in general, but
dude,
yes.
James, I got to tell you real quick, complete sidetrack. Boomerang. Sorry, we have to chat for a second. James, at Chipotle today.
Yeah.
Dude, there was a car parked there it was the most horror focused car I've ever seen in my life. It had the seats were covered with a wrap that looked like sort of like internal organs.
Okay.
It had a bunch of stuff on the dash, a bunch of stickers of different movies. It had stuff on the windows, and then there was a full-on skeleton in the back seat.
That's awesome.
Wait. Like a not like a real skeleton, like a fake skeleton.
Like
right?
it was a whole skeleton just sitting
definitely
there.
a prop skeleton. Let's
Okay.
Maybe.
I'm sure he was plastic.
But still, I was just sitting there. I was just going there to get some lunch before I went grocery shopping today. And Cheyenne, she's just like, do we take a picture to show James? I'm like, I'm sure that we can just tell him, take a picture. So she has the picture upstairs that she can show you later. It's really funny. Anyway, segue to Halo Wars. Smooth segue to Halo Wars.
Great.
I don't know about
Well
smooth.
done.
That was very janky and
I was gonna say
awkward.
that was not a smooth transition into Halo Wars at all.
Okay, how about now?
No.
I, for one, am sold.
How about now? Oh, wrong
It's your own freaking button, dude.
Anyway,
I'm not-
great, guys. I'm gonna get out of here now. It's been great.
I'm not the fucking button master. I forget what. I don't know which one is supposed to go to which.
Well,
Oh my god, that was so funny for no reason.
Boomerang, you're a big fan of Halo. I'm assuming
hope.
you've played the Halo games.
I have minus. I mean, I sure hope I have, but I haven't played through or I haven't finished Halo Wars 2. I've played all the games, I think, minus Halo 5. Seriously, like I picked up a little bit and never really played it much. But I've played all the other Halo games.
Okay, so you finished Halo Wars.
Yeah.
Sick. Okay.
I thought it would have been really funny if you just kind of revealed halfway through the episode. I've never played this game.
I've never finished a Halo
Like
game in my
at no
life.
point in any of the conversations we've had, hey, we're going to talk about Halo Wars. So if when you come onto the show, we're going to talk about that.
Fun
At
fact
no
about me:
point.
I fucking hate Halo. I can't stand it.
I wanted
That's
to
why
make
I make videos in it.
I wanted to make a story that was better than what was presented.
Oh no.
Not saying much these days.
No. But, we're here to talk about wars, and that's the thing. I kind of am excited to chat a little bit about some of this because your perspective on the story. I already know that you have a really interesting perspective on how the war is played out, how they do, especially post-Covenant War stuff. Your perspective on it in Crash is hilarious almost, and how formal it is. I think a lot of people expect that it would be, cheering all the time. Everyone's super relaxed, but no, it just becomes more numbers, more analytics, more, crash sites and dig sites. And, I'm just out here. I'm just bored. It's a fun way of looking at it. And I think that's partially influenced because you have quite a few folks who were in the military that you're going to help with the writing, right?
Yeah, actually, a few of the cast members are actually veterans themselves, and I've spent a lot of time. I've never served, but many of people in my family and close friends have served.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned you think it's a party all the time. And one of the ways I pitched the story was the way that life in the story takes place in the Void Exclusion Zone about a year after the events of Halo 3. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways I described it was, yes, there was a party after we won the war, but now we are in the extended hangover after that party, where it's the come down, where it's like, okay, now what? And that's like such a fertile ground for storytelling, especially character-driven storytelling, that it's like really fun to explore. And there's a lot of monotony in military life, and using this as like a way of like exploring monotony and like characters through that setting is like super, super fun. And so I really enjoy writing that style of story because the door is so opened for character exploration.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you're doing all that. That extra bit of effort does not go unnoticed by folks like myself. Let me tell you that.
Appreciate you,
because that works out so well. But since we're talking about war stuff, Wars. I'm trying my best here. It's just the truth. The reality is that I mostly want to talk about Crash, and there's not even when I'm like, there's so much to talk about with Wars. The thing is that Wars is one of those annoying pieces of Halo's media that's like, yes, it's fun to play, but when you get into the games itself, the interesting stuff about Halo Wars happens in other pieces of media. So you're just like let's say Arcadia. Arcadia was probably one of the most annoying missions in the entire campaign.
Yeah.
And it has a really interesting setup. But despite all of that, Arcadia gets mentioned in Halo Reach. It gets mentioned in Guardians, apparently. I didn't know that, but like I said, I'm trying to make sure that I stay informed. It appears in multiple books. It's all over the place because it was something like, it was actually straight up a Forerunner populated planet before. So stuff like that. This expansive part of Halo Wars is that everything about it is more interesting elsewhere.
Yeah.
Such as Cutter being.
We actually have a little reference to Arcadia in Crash episode 5, where Izzy says that she had joined Fixer during the fall of Arcadia, which would be the second fall of Arcadia, not the first. Otherwise, she would be with Fixer for over 20 years. But it's interesting just because Halo Wars has like a lot of splash on the rest of the franchise, even though, speaking in terms of like its impact when it comes to gameplay and like in the greater Halo Wars is one of those things that most Halo fans are like, oh yeah, I know Halo Wars. It's not like it's not often somebody's like favorite. I'm not excluding the possibility, but it's usually not someone's like absolute favorite Halo story.
I've never met anybody who said Halo Wars is their favorite.
I'm not
a knock
discounting
against it. No, not at all. Not at all. I just
I'm
personally.
sure they're out there.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, we're gonna get some comments from them now.
I was gonna say someone is gonna be like, the f did you say about Halo Wars? Like, no, I mean no ill intent towards anyone who's like, that's my favorite story or that's my favorite like just Halo game in general. I've never seen that. I'd love to be proven wrong because you're probably a diamond in the rough at that point.
I actually think that Halo Wars, I want to give it its flowers here because I actually think that for a game that's a spin-off from the main franchise, not really made by Bungie, I thought it captured the vibe and universe of Halo remarkably well.
No, it did. It absolutely did.
Yeah, that's the thing, though, is that almost did not happen. They basically had no help from Bungie whatsoever.
Right.
They had to, Joseph Staten had to step in himself because no one from Bungie would talk to them. Like Ensemble was like, listen, we really just want to make a good Halo game. Could you just listen, just make the game. It's fine. We got other stuff to do. Just do the freaking game. And Joe's
what were they doing? When is this time frame?
They were making ODST and Reach.
Right. I was gonna say this is like 2000.
To be fair,
8 to 10,
they were pretty busy.
Yeah, but you know, despite the fact that Joe Staten was making ODST by himself, basically with a very small team, he was still like, "No, I got time for you. I can help you out with that."
We love Joe Staten.
We love him so much. And that's the fun part about Wars to me is that it actually, when you really think about, let's say, what it reveals in the gameplay, the cutscenes, it actually does a lot. It did a lot for me when I was a kid. It did a lot in revealing how big the universe actually is because you're going from Combat Evolved to 3 and you know that there's something big going on. You know the Forerunners are a thing that exists. You know the Covenant is huge and how big this war is. But war is taking you all the way back, roughly to the beginning of the conflict. And immediately, it kind of hits you with a whammy. First of all, that humanity is already on the back foot way early in the war. And it shows that very clearly by just letting you play through that first mission where you're already getting your shit rocked on Harvest.
Yeah. I loved that as a kid when he said 25, what's the 31?
Yep.
Yeah, and I remember when I was a kid and I hadn't read the books yet, I always knew 2552. And then when I heard 2531, that's when it clicked for me. Like, oh, so this has been going on for a while.
Yeah, because like unless you read the books, which let's be real, unless you were one of those kids, you just weren't doing. Which I was one of those kids. I just didn't know Halo books existed until way too late into my life. And then I was a teenager and I'm like, no one reads books. But one thing that I really remember very well that I remember really upsetting me at first as a kid, but then it started making it just, it was so much cooler as it went on. That cutscene where they show up to Arcadia for the first time. They're like, there's actually a conflict going on here. There is something happening on this planet. It's not just an accident. There's something going on. And they're like, we're getting live feed from the planet. And the live feed opens and you see a Spartan. And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, what? Master Chief.
Spartans.
Master
You
Chief
see
is in this game?
multiple Spartans.
And then you see more run past. They're like, wait, they all wear the same armor? And that's when it all clicked about like what the evolution of the different marks and gens of Halo's armor is like, what Mjolnir had to go through to get to where it is now. It was bonkers for me because I was sitting there and was like, there's no way that's like clones.
I love the Halo universe so much. I was saying to some people, I was chatting with some fans in the Discord, our Patreon Discord, and I was saying that despite the fact that there have been most of the community agrees there's been some missteps with the Halo universe in the last, like, since 343 took over. But for me, I also just don't really engage with the stories that if I'm not interested or if I don't think I'll like them. So I just focus on the things I really do like. And so that might be part of it. But for me, despite the missteps that most of the community sees, Halo still has that magic for me. Like, it is such a wonderful universe and it's so interesting. And it hasn't lost that even after all these years.
Yeah.
That's what's keeping like the fans going right now, is just like the hope, like just the universe, the characters, like like this next thing could be the thing. And in the meantime, we have content creators like you pushing things out to keep everybody like entertained during, I guess the Halo drought 2.0. So
I'm doing my part.
Exactly.
I'm doing my part.
I think the fear that a lot of fans have these days is reasonable. I've used this analogy a couple times, but Halo at the moment is an hourglass and it's running out of sand.
Yeah.
There is a lot to explore, but once you've explored enough, and I'm saying this as someone who has explored a lot, like when you start running out of things to learn, when you've watched all of Installation 00's videos, when you've watched all of Hidden Xperia's videos, when you've watched all of Halo Guy's videos, you're just sitting there and you're just like, I know so much and I'm running out.
I kind of get what you're saying. Like, there's only like with the lack of content that we get, like, just I mean, I'd prefer it by game, but just like canon content that expands the universe. Like with these droughts, people are just going to like binge Halo content and they're going to get caught up with everything. Sooner or later, there's going to be nothing to talk about until we get something, whether it be like a book, a side game, or like a main storyline game. Like, people are just going to be binging this kind of stuff till they get completely caught up. And then that's when the real burnout hits.
Yeah.
Like, there's only so much you can learn.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of intend for this show to be a little bit of put pressure on the wound sort of thing.
Stop the bleeding.
For 343, because
morphine, if you will.
We know for a fact that 343 listens to this show now. Some people from 343 listen to this show.
Yeah, yep.
And if they're listening and they're just and they start hearing that we're first, not just that we're running out of things to talk about. If they ever get to that point, like we're the only lore podcast that exists,
right?
So if that's the case, and we're already growing a lot, help us out.
Like, give us something, a teaser, an audio clip, something.
Connor, what are your thoughts? You've been here the whole time.
Yeah, Connor's
I
here.
just want more content to play. Just something to understand.
I just want more brutes.
Well, good thing you have a whole entire Halo campaign you haven't played yet.
I know, right?
But
I speak for the community.
That's the thing about what's currently going on, and I'm factoring this into Wars because for some reason that was the last experience that we really got where another company touched Halo.
The beginning of Halo Wars where he's like setback after setback, loss after loss. That's what's kind of where we are as a community right now.
I'm so glad that you found a way to tie that back to Wars. You have my respect.
God knows we weren't going to do it.
But it's the fact that I've also brought this up before, but Halo had 8 straight years of new Halo experiences. It was going from Halo Reach up until starting with Halo 4. No, actually, Halo 3. Starting with 3, you go to 3, you go to Wars, you go to ODST, you go to Reach, you go to Anniversary, you go to 4, you go to Halo 2 Anniversary and MCC, you go to 5, you go to Spartan Assault and Strike in between there, and then you got Halo Wars 2, and then 4 or 5 years of nothing. And it's like something happened. Something had to have happened, but more importantly, Halo Wars 2 was the last Halo experience we got before Halo Infinite, and Wars 2, it was touched by other companies. It was made by another company, a really good one. I'm pretty sure that was Creative Assembly.
Yeah,
they did a great job. So I'm just sitting there, I'm just like, well, after I'm seeing what Ensemble did with Halo Wars and the expansion that they did there, and then you see what Creative Assembly did with Halo Wars 2, a completely different company, but still carrying the vibe that Ensemble started before, Ensemble closed because of Halo Wars failure. It makes you really wonder, like, why aren't we trusting more of these companies with this? Because it seems to work out really well, especially since Halo Wars is backed up by comics, and it has novel references, and it just creates a very strange sort of situation where these games are obviously adding to the universe, and yet they're not being embraced sometimes by the community at all. And it gets confusing, which I don't quite understand, because how are you supposed to go on as a Halo fan without knowing, quoting Halopedia, that in the 6th grade, James Cutter had a teacher named Mrs. Ash, and during one of her spelling tests, James spelled the word rendezvous correctly, which led to him liking the word ever since.
Actually, I have a thought here.
Sure.
That kind of goes into how, like, the mindset when I write Crash is that I actually think, looking at the franchise, I think a really good model for how Halo's story should be handled is ODST. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because ODST is a much more personal and small scale story set within the larger universe. And I mean, looking at like Halo 5's story, there's some interesting things there, but it felt like they were continuing trying to make this big galactic cataclysm. And I was always thinking to myself, and I was thinking, like, even with Crash's story, where we're going to grow and it's going to get bigger and bigger, but it's never going to become a galactic problem. And the main focus is on these characters and these people. And then the story and the lore becomes a platform for these stories about characters, because long term, I think that's what brings in new people and makes people resonate with these people. And I think that's part of the reason the vibe and the character and the heart of Halo is what brought people in to begin with. And so it's really good for us lore nuts when we have a good expansion of lore. But there's also a version of that that's not as good for everyone else in the long term, where it's like, yes, we're expanding the universe, but instead it's like, we should deepen the universe. We should fill it with experiences and characters that we can relate to, that teach us lessons, that bring it home in the way that Halo weirdly did, kind of, it seemed almost effortlessly. Like Halo, the Bungie era Halo games felt alive in a way that a lot of other games to me didn't. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I think that there's so much you can do. And I actually think one of my hot takes was, instead of making the Banished be a big extinction level threat against humanity, the Banished UNSC war should be a really territorial, like, conventional ground war for territory and space. Instead of trying to exterminate the others, trying to, like, vie and vie for control of different sectors and things like that. And suddenly you have this, basic of a factory for storytelling, where you can have a story that's focused on a particular planet. You can explore the shades of gray without it being, but the UNSC are the real bad guys, which is kind of lame. Like, I'm okay with Oni being bad guys, but I like it more when it's like, it's complicated, there's shades of gray in there. Mm-hmm. And I also like keeping Master Chief and the Covenant War sort of like this mythical, huge event that is the backdrop of everything. Everything orbits around that. No one's trying to outdo that event, storytelling wise. You know what I mean? They're not trying to one up that, have that be the big thing that happened, and then instead explore more character-driven, smaller scale stories. And that's kind of part of the reason I'm writing Crash the way I do, where I want to tie it into the greater universe as best I can. And we've read and looked through a ton of the books. I have a friend of mine named Schmitty, who he's kind of like my lore goblin. He's read all the books front to back, and I kind of just sit there and I'm like, what if we do this? And he's like, no, that doesn't work. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. But finding ways, using the lore as a platform to tell stories instead of stories to service the lore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
And I feel like that's not that there's anything wrong with lore expanding stories. I love that sort of thing. But I also realize that those fundamentally by their nature have a limited appeal. Yeah. And so there needs to be work done to bring it home. And I actually think that Infinite took the right step in a lot of ways in that direction. I think it should have gone farther, but I love the pilot. I love Weapon. I love a lot of the characters, with the exception of like some of the Banished characters, which I think kind of fell flat. But God bless them, they were trying, and I think that it was a step in the right direction. Halo was like Infinite was like a really good step in the right direction to me, but that it just didn't go far enough, and it's just on the cusp of doing things right, and so it earns its points for me in that regard.
Yeah, it didn't pull off what it was saying it would do, but it did do a pretty darn good thing. I think it's still confusing about why the Banished hate humanity so much.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If it's just a ground war, make it not personal. Make the Banished be like, yeah, we want this rock. Get off our rock. It's all the Banished need to know for you to be like, okay, cowabunga it is. Let's fight. Like that's a great backdrop.
Because that's always been the confusing thing with the Banished for me is like I always got the vibe that they were a bit more like space pirates with a lot of resources. But lately, like in Infinite, you get the read of, oh, they're just a Covenant, but they have red and black stuff.
That's the boring thing. The Covenant had a reason to extinguish humanity. The Banished doesn't.
Hey there, Halo fans. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our friends right after these messages.
So like.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, and so that's why I said a ground war with the Banished would make more sense. Where it's not two groups trying to extinguish the other; it's them vying for the top position and dominance for their own interests. And I think, man, that's a great platform for storytelling because you can explore shades of gray. You can have classic military combat, and instead of it being just a one-side steamroll from the humans, actually have it be that humans are invading Banished worlds. Can you imagine that? That would be interesting. Like that'd be super interesting to see.
Yeah.
And it just feels kind of like a missed opportunity. But I give credit where it's due. I really like a lot of what 343 does. Their art team is wonderful. I think Halo Infinite just looks great to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think art style is just beautiful. The music's really good. I will also say Halo Wars might have one of my favorite Halo soundtracks of all time.
Oh yeah, the one that's not actually on the soundtrack.
Yeah, I love Halo Wars 1 soundtrack. It's so good.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'm gonna tie this in with Halo Wars, I promise. But this thing that trust me, I have a plan. I have a plan. With Halo Infinite, one of the things that was really confusing was, first of all, motivations, but second of all, the characters themselves and their importance. Because you're thinking about this. Why wouldn't the Banished want to side with the UNSC? They both were victims of the Covenant. They both have gone through incredible hardship, and neither of them are very interested in getting wiped out. And yet the Banished aggressively attacks the UNSC, and the UNSC is again on the defensive, and there's really no conversation about that between the two. They just kind of take that. And that creates a strange sort of situation where you're just sitting there, it's like, why aren't you guys seeing eye to eye on this? It seems like it should be a no-brainer that you guys are in the same position. But then it gets even more confusing when the Harbinger shows up, because the Harbinger is like, she was subject, and she and the rest of her species were subject to the Forerunner's lies and torture. And so she sees the Banished for some reason as a fellow victim of that instead of the actual humans that are there, which granted, she does try to befriend Chief. And then Chief is just calling back to a previous episode, just no, and immediately tries to kill her. And so,
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. This is Master Chief we're talking about. Like Arbiter with his friend, and you still got the feeling that he'd probably kill Arbiter at the drop of a hat if he had to. Like Master Chief hating aliens is just a plot point. It's like after so many games, dude. Absolutely.
It's the only reason why I have a problem with it is because I'm using relevant knowledge that I've gotten recently. I was on a very long road trip recently, and I listened to the entirety of Halo Silent Storm again because it's my personal favorite Halo novel. And in that, there's actually multiple moments where it has Chief, granted 15-year-old John, just kind of saying stuff like, he caught himself feeling bad for a moment about the Covenant that he was slaughtering. Like, what if they were innocent in this? But then he had to tell himself that they started this war and that he is trying to defend humanity. He had to do that probably 2 or 3 times in that book. And so I'm sitting there, I'm just like, the fact that he thinks about that, it makes sense in Halo Infinite why he would treat Escharum the way that he did in the end as just a soldier. But if he treats him with humanity, then why isn't he treating the Harbinger like that, especially with the context of Silent Storm, especially with the context of what he does with Escharum? And this ties back to Halo Wars in the way of not only the motivation is weird, but if you wanted to, let's say you're just like, I find Ripa Morami super interesting as an Arbiter. What is his story? So glad you asked that. Go to Halo Waypoint. You'll find a whole article about him, and it'll tell you a bunch about his backstory. And it's all right there conveniently on your Xbox, so you can just get right back to playing Halo Wars after you're done satisfying your curiosities. Well, what about the regret? What about Prophet of Regret? We'll go play Halo 2. You'll learn a whole lot about him and his motivations there. What about Captain Cutter and Forge? Well, I mean, there's a whole trilogy of books you can go to if you want to learn more about Forge and what he was like as a father, and Cutter, if you want to learn more about him. Halo Escalation talks a lot about him. Well, if I want to learn about the Harbinger, if I want to learn about Esherim, I mean, he says a couple things in Shadows of Reach that one time.
Yep.
There you go. That's all you get. There's a stunning lack of depth that a game that wasn't even made by Bungie understood very well, that you needed to have a reason to care about your characters. And more importantly, if you've given your audience a reason to care, you have to feed into it. You have to make them even more interested. You have to realize that there is a depth that some of these people are looking for. And when they're not given that, they're going to immediately turn into your enemy. Case in point, Halo Infinite and its current audience.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting is now that I think about it and you say that, when I was saying earlier that you need to bring it home, you need to make the story real and relatable, I actually think one of the ways you can do that isn't just by telling a human perspective, but giving something very down to earth, so to speak, from any of the perspectives that you show. And so, like, I feel like there was an effort to try to make a new villain or faction that was as mysterious as the feeling was in Halo 1. And, you know, as ambiguous as it was when it comes to, we didn't know much about the Covenant in Halo 1. They were just, they worshipped the Forerunners, and that was about it. But that was about the short and long of it, and not counting the books.
Yeah.
But it feels like in their effort to try to one up and create a threat for Chief to face, they kind of overemphasized making them a big enough threat and underemphasized making them a real character, and like with real plot tensions and interesting to watch. And so it kind of makes sense that that's a problem that they have. But like, I think you're completely right. Like, the books do a great job of filling out the space. I think that's kind of what the roles of the book should do. But it doesn't feel like, it feels like Halo Infinite's story was very reactionary. Like, they were like, oh shit, people didn't like Halo 5. And then they just did Halo Infinite, which, to their credit, some of the things they did were pretty cool. But it does leave a lot to be desired.
It's disturbing.
I'm sorry. Austin deep-throated a Slim Jim in the middle of your monologue.
All right, James is just going to put him on blast, I guess.
Perfectly I don't even know how to respond to that.
You were about to say it's perfectly accurate. I'm like, whoa.
I
think we all were going to try and ignore it, but then I started laughing.
Me. That's what I would do.
No,
too,
we were listening, and then like he was struggling to open the Slim Jim while we were all just listening, and then we had to get a letter opener so we could open the Slim Jim, and then when he finally opens it, he's so excited it just goes like.
We like to have fun here.
You made a lot of really good points.
I want to make it clear we were listening. It was at the very end that the Slim Jim incident happened.
That's completely valid. And I completely understand.
It broke me.
See, to add to your point though, I really want to. I want to hammer this home because I get super upset about this all the time. Okay, so you were. Clarify for me. Were you one of those guys that were, a kid when Halo was dropping and you were growing up with it, or you were a late boomer with it? Boomer.
I am. Okay, so I'm 27 years old, and so Halo 1 came out when I was like, 4. Yeah. And my dad played it, and so I played Halo and Halo 2 since I was like 5, 5 or 6, whenever those games came out. And as those games came out, I continued to play it. So I've been playing it since my whole life. It's super, super important to me.
Okay. So you had Waypoint on console. You got that experience.
I
did. You spent time out of your curiosity. Tabasco, sorry. Out of curiosity of the franchise, you spent time on Waypoint.
Wait, you were eating Tabasco Slim Jims?
Yeah.
Are you crazy? Are you insane?
They're the best flavor.
You're going to regret that later, but okay.
They're so tasty.
I eat them all the time. I don't have a problem.
eat like 5 more and get back to me.
You know what? I will. They're full size too.
You have to understand. We have to eat them. One of our good old listeners, Kyle, sent us a box of 100 of them.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the PO box.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Somebody sent me a box of 100 Tabasco Slim Jims. I'm like, are you trying to kill me? Is that what this is?
They're just big fans. They want.
It's 24.
This is like the long game, Dan. They're sabotaging you and you don't even know it.
Yeah. Is it actually only 24?
They're keeping our
It
bellies
feels like
full.
so much more.
24.
Wow. Send us 100 next time. You won't.
He's going to add a 0 to that. Watch.
He will. So.
Oh, that means he can't send exactly 100 because they come in packs of 24, so he can only send 96 or he can send 120.
That's fair.
Obviously, 120 is better, so that's what you need to do.
Yeah,
I
that's
agree.
fair. So
maybe assorted flavors this time, just to cover all the bases.
Mild, yeah, the original, you get all the good ones.
So the thing with Waypoint, you were there to interact with Waypoint especially when Wars was around, when it started going really just nuts. It started adding all sorts of lore entries. It started adding interactive experiences where you could enter codes and get stuff on it. It had a tracker. It had all this stuff, especially I think most influential for me was Waypoint started posting Red versus Blue episodes that were censored. And at the time when I was a kid, I was restricted from anything that had some sort of censoring in it. I couldn't play games that were rated M. I was interacting with the Halo community and the franchise through my brother because I could watch him play.
Oh, I see.
So when Red vs. Blue started coming out censored, I mean, that was my first interaction ever actually interacting with Red vs. Blue, and I fell in love with it. The first thing I ever saw from it actually was the text fight against the Reds, which I loved. But and I guess also Tucker and Caboose. But besides the point. So that's the thing. I just kind of want to see if you're on the same page as we are, where Waypoint is now, especially given how it was used when Halo Wars was around, when they were trying to expand all of it, which, again, if you guys want some extra Wars content, Halo Escalation, excellent comic book. And then if you want some extra book lore, especially on Sergeant Forge, that's going to be Point of Light, that's going to be Smoke and Shadow, that's going to be Renegades. That is in the improper order. It's Smoke and Shadow, Point of Light, Renegades. But those three books.
I thought that's exactly what you just said.
No, I said Point of Light, Smoke and Shadow, Renegades.
What's the correct order?
Smoke and Shadow, Point of Light, Renegades.
Now I'm confused.
That's what you said.
I said Point of Light, Smoke and Shadow, Renegades. Wrong. Smoke and Shadow, Point of Light,
Wrong.
Renegades. Right. I'm just flipping the first two.
Wrong.
So if you want extra information, go for those. But if you're there to get extra information, are you on the same page with me where you just really wish that Waypoint wasn't just a news source now, that it was like actually back to being an app that was actually on Xbox? Because I have a feeling that it's in the same vein as Halo Infinite. It was a reactionary thing. They were just like, oh, people hate that they have to open an extra app. We should just can it.
Yeah, okay, so Halo Waypoint came out well into my enjoyment of Halo as a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of fell off Halo right around Halo 4. I got Halo 4 and I was excited and I played it and I liked it. But it was also right around a pretty significant time in my life where I stopped playing video games in general. And so I kind of dropped it, and then I heard about Halo 5 launching and I looked into that because I was curious and I was like, ooh, this doesn't look like my cup of tea anymore. But so Halo Waypoint was not my main way of trying to interact with Halo lore. By and large, a lot of it was just me replaying the games over and over again, which the games were like my main way of enjoying the franchise personally. And then, we didn't have the same source of YouTube videos who discussed lore, which I really love that we have that now, where it's like, it's so much more accessible to get into the lore. Yeah. But I would love to have a resource like that for Halo fans, especially because it's like, if you have more stuff, it's not like, okay, the one thing I'll say is, I think Halo should be accessible to casual fans, but it has substance there for if you want to go deeper. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to read a Waypoint article in order to understand the motivations of a character, broadly speaking. You know what I mean? And so I think it should be there, and it should be more centralized and more focused and more driven and given a lot more direction. You know what I mean? Yeah. But for the most part, it's not really my thing. Do you know what I mean?
I get you.
I respect it. I appreciate it. I'm glad it's there. I just don't find myself often using it.
That makes sense. So then for you, when it comes to how you want to get your extra content, you would prefer to just go for the books, the comics. You would want to go directly to the source rather than getting the articles that would be posted on Waypoint that pretty much just summarize some of the major points about these specific characters, these specific events. You would want to go straight for the honey, basically.
Yeah, either way, honestly, it depends on how busy I am. But like, I have Audible, and I'll listen to like the Halo audiobooks, and I really appreciate learning about these stories in the context they were originally. As someone who's a writer, I write a lot, and I enjoy having stories put in their context. And I'm glad that like I'm probably not going to read the 40K books, right? But yeah. I really love all the 40K lore, the channels that exist out there. But like Halo is just it's different to me because I'm so passionate about the universe that I'm kind of just savoring it, where I'm like, okay, if I don't want somebody to give me the cliff notes about this book. I kind of want to experience it myself. So that way I can build a personal connection to it instead of just head knowledge, where I'm like, okay, I'm kind of going through this book. It's part of the journey. I'm working through it, and I'm listening to it, and I'm building my own connections to it. And that's the same way I kind of enjoyed the Halo games growing up. I didn't get, no one explained to me what the story of the Halo games were before I played them. And so I got to experience those fresh for the first time as I was growing up, which was super fun. And like I guess that's what left such a lasting impact on me and why it matters so much to me now, is just that in its context, it's not just knowing that the Arbiter joins up with Master Chief in Halo 3. Actually seeing that is like, it's such a different experience, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so like, or even just reading about stuff like that is like really cool. And so I'm interested in the lore, but I think that just as important as that the lore is, it's the way it's communicated that also heightens the enjoyment of it. And so I guess that's why Waypoint never really like super clicked with me, because a lot of times it's condensed stuff or it's short stories. And unless I have a vested interest already, it's hard for me to justify the energy of reading it, because I'm like, okay, how does this tie in? I don't know. It's interesting. That's a question I hadn't even thought much about before, to be honest.
Well, now this kind of makes me wonder. So you dropped out around Halo 4. Does that mean that you had played through Combat Evolved Anniversary when it first dropped on 360?
I did not, actually.
Okay. Have you ever played it on the original Xbox 360 at all?
No.
Okay. Education time. So here's the thing. One of the coolest things that I think needs to be brought back to Halo, this isn't even really education. This is just, I need
terminals?
Not the terminals, but the terminals are fantastic. I do love them. Also, it's a show available for our Patreon.
Yes, I was gonna say I was waiting for the self plug. I'm like, you gotta plug the
an extra after show series that just is there. But the terminals are fantastic. I would love more of them. I wish that we didn't. I like audio logs. They're fancy. I wish that they were more like ODST's audio logs, where it's just one long story instead of a bunch of smaller ones. But I would love to have terminals as well. They should have had animated terminals. They should have had a lot of things. I can't really get into that. But,
Yeah, are you good?
No.
Can I
I'm not done yet.
No,
it's going to take a second.
I was going to say, just like that, when you started talking about the audio logs, I thought the audio logs in Halo Infinite were really good, but it almost left me. It did leave me feeling like blue-balled, like talking about Lasky. Talking about Halsey, talking about Fireteam Osiris, Locke.
Also, hold on, that one where it's like, what are the Banished doing here in this part of space attacking us? And then she's like, making a mistake. And it's like, that you actually got one tapped, my guy.
So you guys literally got just like drilled. Like they did not make a mistake. You guys made the mistake.
Chief, you can't say badass things and get your ass whooped immediately after.
To be fair, I mean, no, he did get his ass whooped. Aatrox pummeled him.
Pummeled the ship. He beat the Infinity's ass so hard, he deleted like 5 characters from the franchise.
I just remember watching that opening cutscene for the first time, be like, Master Chief, and then I'm just like watching him get absolutely rocked, and I'm like,
I did appreciate that it made Aatrox feel like a good villain, but then they don't fucking use him.
No.
And I'm
I'm sitting there, I was like,
oh, cool. Yeah, Aatrox is in this game. He's going to be in this game more than this.
No.
Like watching him in Halo.
Really.
I did like watching Chief do a better job against Aatrox than 3 other Spartan 2s. But that's the thing. I've asked this question before to people because I don't know any fans off the top of my head that have interacted with Infinite and not interacted with Wars 2 at all. But if you do interact with Infinite without the background of Wars 2, it must be an incredibly alienating experience because you require so much knowledge from what the Banished are. Because if you go from 5 to Infinite, who are the Banished? Where did they come from? Where's Cortana?
So I haven't finished Halo Wars 2, but I am familiar with all the lore. I watched all the like cutscenes and I had it kind of explained to me. So by the time by the time Infinite came out, I was on board. I was like, okay, The Banished. All right.
Okay, it's The Banished. But okay, so on my point with the Combat Evolved Anniversary, this system needs to come back. It was the coolest shit ever. I need it back. So in Combat Evolved Anniversary, aside from the fact that you could go from original to the updated graphics, which at the time the 360 wasn't able to do it on a snap like Xbox One and PC can do, it would fade to black and then fade back in with the new graphics or old graphics, which was kind of funny. But it had a special mode. If you hit down on the D-pad or something, I don't remember what button it was, but I think it was down on the D-pad, you would activate a scan mode that was in Chief's visor. And you could just walk up to weapons, objects, Forerunner stuff, Covenant stuff, terminals themselves. You could walk up to anything that was interactable or interesting, including like the Forerunner towers that shoot light into the sky, I'm pretty sure. And you could scan them. If you scanned them enough times, you would be able to access an extra menu in the main menu that was pretty much a logbook of just a bunch of lore about the things you were scanning.
So cool.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It came with 3D models that you could look at. It came with all this like paragraphs of story of like what the Sangheili were and what their culture is and where they came from. And it was fantastic. And then they never did it again.
What a trend.
I'm just like, 343, you have a really...
It is a trend.
343 has a lot of really good ideas. It's a shame they never reuse them.
No, it's just like, but James put it the best like years ago. They overcompensate way too much. They take feedback, and instead of doing that, instead of fixing something, they overdo it like way too much. Yeah. I guess like the best way to put it, something that really stuck out to me is Halo 5. I know so you didn't really get too much into Halo 5, but Austin and James have a video online of them playing the Halo 5 beta, and it looked super, super clean. And one of the main feedbacks, like it was kind of like I guess it had more of a darker tone. And in the multiplayer, the actual like the full release, the game just like looked super like cartoonish. Like the multiplayer looked like just like almost all Forge maps, and the Spartans literally looked like Power Rangers. The game looked so much better in the beta. And just they changed it during like the full launch, and it just looked a million times
people
worse.
People complained in the beta that Spartans were too hard to see, so they baked in lighting to Spartans, so they were always popping out from the backgrounds.
It just didn't look good.
And the biggest travesty is the Halo 5 beta sword was the most beautiful.
Oh, I was about to bring that up.
It was like brighter than the sun, and I loved it. And then people were like, it's too bright.
It looked really good.
and then Infinite just kind of looks like you're holding blue milk.
Let me get this straight. What you're saying is esports players ruin everything.
Oh
no, I'm kidding.
You have a Rainbow Six player in this call right now. You would not. You basically hit it right on the button. Like,
okay. So you're agreeing with me. Okay, good.
No, I am.
No, here's the thing. I don't think that's a nice way to say it. I think honestly how it is is just like, this isn't just a Halo problem. This is every shooter game problem. They cater to the esports community,
which is like 1% of the player base.
But it's because of the money.
I think I remember.
No, it is. It is.
Now, don't quote me on this, but I used to listen to the Bungie podcast, and I don't know this for certain, but I seem to recall like listening to the old Bungie podcast. I don't know. It's like archived somewhere now. But hearing them chatting, and I remember them talking about esports and like MLG, and the way that they talked about it, there was this faint hint of, those guys.
Well, yeah, because Bungie never catered to them. That was the thing. Bungie always, this is the philosophy that I think Halo should come back to, and I'm probably going to make some sort of video on it someday, but that Halo was at its best when it was focused on cool first, fun first, logic second. Because 343, they have the practice to be able to make anything fit in the lore now. They're really good at that, squeezing in little things into the lore to make it make sense.
I actually really love that. I think one of the beautiful things about Bungie's Halo is that if you were to sit down and ask, like, so why do the humans have guns and tanks and regular helicopters 500 years in the future? The response was, because that's sick as hell. Get with it. And that was basically the response they would have is like, because that's cooler than anything else. Deal with it. But then you get this sort of gung-ho, fun, over everything attitude. But then out of nowhere, Bungie's Halo universe just knew how to like gut punch you swiftly. like out of nowhere with some really good serious storytelling.
Yep.
And I thought that was part of the beauty of it was, yeah, look how whimsical this is. Just kidding, it's horrifying.
Yeah, it's like, look at Halo 2. You're fighting in space. You're on a Mac station. That's so sick. Arbiter has just been betrayed by everything he has ever known and loved.
His whole entire world is now turned on its head. And he has no faith. He has no nothing.
Have you seen?
You're fighting on a scarab now.
Somebody made that meme. It was like Halo 1, Green Man shoot lizard, everyone happy. Then it said Halo 2, and it had like this entire paragraph explaining the Arbiter's backstory. And then it said Halo 3, Green Man shoot lizard, everyone happy.
Steve Vai, take us away.
Yeah, right. And then somebody pointed out to me, and I'll never forget it. They said, that's not the plot changing. That's the focus of the characters changing. Master Chief's story was always shoot lizard, everyone happy. Like that was his goal, and that's what he did. And then like the Arbiter has this deeper story, and people are like, oh, the story is not as deep at Halo 3. And I'm like, I think the Arbiter's like, I need to be a plot on revenge. And then Master Chief comes into the story like a fucking wrecking ball, and the Arbiter just follows to destruction in his wake all the way up to revenge. Like all the way to the prophet of truth.
Because like, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, Chief's goal in the story is just to kill aliens, save humanity. And then like he comes in like a steamroller, and the Arbiter kind of just gets behind the steamroller and then just follows the steamroller to its logical conclusion. And it's great.
This will end at the prophet of truth someday.
like yeah, it'll get there.
Just
sooner
picture
or later.
like just to bring that finally back around to Wars, the Spartans and their gameplay, how the Spartans play in both of the games really makes it accurate on how they perform. And it kind of makes you, it was a realization that I had actually just last night, because I keep forgetting that this is a thing. But the Covenant had a very good reason to fear Spartans when the kill-death ratio on Spartans and the Covenant is like billions to 30.
Jeez.
And it would be realistic for Arbiter to just be kind of like, I'm finally fighting alongside the demon. I can't wait to see. Oh my gosh.
Dude, chill.
So it is cool to see Spartans work.
I actually think somebody so there was a picture that it was like the Roman, I forget the exact term for the like the maneuver that they would do where they have shields in all directions and they're like moving like a turtle. It's like ancient battle tactics. And it's like, what do you do against this? And someone responded with a picture of a monkey throwing like a photoshopped hand grenade, and it says, "Hey, ass." And I actually think the beauty of the Halo story is that like that's basically the vibe of humanity versus the Covenant. Which is like, the Covenant's like, we have floating weapons and active camo and plasma weapons. What do you have? We can throw rocks really fucking hard. like we accelerate this one rock to 20% of C, and it cuts through everything you have.
Basically, it's amazing.
And it's so funny because I just think that Halo has such a unique tone and attitude. Like, especially that, I think they capture that militaristic attitude that the military 500 years in the future. I like that it's like today's military, but just planted 500 years in the future, where you have like the UNSC Say My Name, like they like all of these different. My favorite's the UNSC 2 for flinching. Like that's such a hard name.
Dude, wait,
And
that's a canon name.
Yeah, 2 for flinching.
That is the hardest name I've ever heard in my life. That is so
that
cool.
was so cool, right? And I was just like, I said it kind of reminds me of how like humanity is against the aliens in Independence Day.
Yeah,
like just how gung ho they are.
Hello,
and I was like, that's kind of what the newer
boys.
Halo's missing, if I'm being honest.
well, you want to know? We brought this up a while ago. I had to check real quick to remind myself because I knew it was there. I just couldn't remember the name. But there's one ship in particular we love the name of, and it's the UNSC Bum Rush.
That's a great one.
That's also a good one.
So there's quite a few. There's also Pony Express. They have a lot of really fun names.
Well, it kind of goes into their inspirations because the Marines were definitely obviously inspired by the Space Marines and Aliens. And they were very just Vietnam in space, essentially. So it's basically the same deal.
Basically, yes. There's so many really good ones, though. There's a whole Halopedia article that you can find. There is just straight up a UNSC Las Vegas, for example. So like, you can just find all of them. But
ship that never sleeps.
To end off
Did they have
today's
an ice cream ship?
Did they have an ice cream ship? Like, is it just called ice cream? What do you mean?
Well, in World War II, there was a U.S. ship that just would deliver ice cream.
Because they could.
You know, that is potential. I would probably throw that onto.
I love that story so much.
I would probably throw that onto the let's say the which one? I'm trying to figure out which one of these would be the most likely to deliver ice cream.
UNSC Moose Tracks.
UNSC Horn of Plenty. Anyway,
we wrote a whole bunch of different ship names because we were playing with the idea of having different ships show up in Crash, because we have the Big Blind, and we also have the Long Goodbye, and we have a few other names that are really fun, and it's super fun just going in there and trying to come up with those sort of names. You can tell that, I think that's one of the things, you can tell that Bungie had fun with what they were doing with the whole game and the franchise, and that, I think that goes a long way. Yeah.
So there's a few more things I got to take care of before we wrap up today, Boomerang, Mr. Rang, if you will. We have some questions. Our listeners have questions for you.
Oh,
so we only have like 3, but one of them is multiple layers. So this could take a bit, but I'm sure you're prepared. Are you prepared?
Hey there, Halo fans. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our friends right after these messages.
As much as I can be, I suppose.
Sure, yeah. So, first question comes from Slipstream19 asking, did you pay us McChickens for our cameos? Allow me to add some context to that question real quick. So, here's the thing about me. I do a whole lot. I interact with a lot of people in the community, and I create a lot of stuff with a lot of different folks. My personal favorite person to work with right now is Covenant Cannon. He's just fun. I like his scripts. I like reading them. But one of my things that I'm starting to get known for is I don't like working for money. I make enough. Especially since JumperScape is basically operating entirely off of the generous donations of our audience, which patreon.com/JumperScape. If you want to get yourself some nice stuff and also support us, please. Because of that, I don't really ask for money. What I do is I ask for McChickens. I'll be like, all right, cool. Can you like deliver some McChickens to my place real quick though? And I get paid that way. So what I'm saying is I'm waiting.
Well, I will now. As soon as I find out where you live, I will send you unhealthy amount of McChickens, which I'm pretty sure is like any, but still.
Yeah, like minimum 2. Yeah. So that's that. So there, no, not yet, but maybe we'll see what happens. Next question is from it's from Kyle. What was your greatest inspiration for Crash?
Okay. So I think everybody would probably know the obvious one is Red versus Blue. I grew up watching. I used to spend a lot of time on the Rooster Teeth like forums way back in the day. I started watching Red versus Blue around season 4. I spend a lot of time in the community. I've had chats with Rooster Teeth employees before from time to time over the years, and that's been super cool. But I think Red vs. Blue is the obvious answer, right? And everybody knows Red vs. Blue, but I like to talk about the ones that I think less people tend to know about and that are like really important to me. So one of my big inspirations is Ross Scott, the creator of Freeman's Mind, Civil Protection, and The Game Dungeon, which is, he's been doing machinima for a very long time. I actually had him on the channel, which is crazy to me because I've been watching him for like 16 years. He's really big. He's someone who a lot of other creators who are much bigger than him know and will feature him or like make references to him. It's kind of, I always say he's like he's your favorite YouTuber's favorite YouTuber is like one of the jokes I say about him because he's just been around and he's so consistent and he's hilarious. And his sense of humor was his series Freeman's Mind. It was massively influential on me when I was young, along with Rooster Teeth. And then there's also Smoothview Films who made the Elite World series, the first 2 seasons of Elite World. And though that one's much more of a product of its time, it's not very politically correct now. It was still something I watched when I was, a youngin'. And it really, I really enjoyed the artistry and the work that went into it. But other than that, I mean, I think not a machinima, but the old TV show MASH was also a big inspiration.
Oh, yeah.
And that's part of the reason the show's called Crash.
A great show.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so like there's just like 100 different little inspirations, but those are the big ones. So like Red vs. Blue, The Elite World, Ross Scott, MASH, and obviously just the Halo games in general, because I just love that franchise so much. But gosh, I mean, if you had like an hour, I could probably sit here and just talk in detail about all the different little things that go into it.
So you're saying we're gonna have to bring you back on?
Absolutely, that'd be great.
Well, before
I'll bring the McChickens.
Awesome. Before I go back to his question, I actually wanted to know because I can't remember if it was explained in the show, so forgive me if I'm ignorant on that one. But why Crash? Like, why is this dude's name Crash? What's his nickname coming from?
So we will get into that with the plot. I would say so. It is briefly mentioned in episode 1 that Duke gave him the name Crash after he slammed a dropship into the side of this big, huge secret navy, and then it cuts off. And then that's where Crash got the name Crash from. But we also learned that before that, Crash was a pilot who stopped flying in episode 3, and it's unclear why he stopped flying, other than it seems personal.
Yeah.
And so we're going to get into that more over time. The show is called Crash. It's actually less. I tell people that the reason it's called Crash is less because it has to do with the main character being named Crash, and it's more of a thematic choice. Because ultimately, one of the themes we're really playing with is letting go and moving on from the past. And a crash is what happens when you don't. And so in some way, every one of these characters are reacting to something that has happened in the past. I wanted it to be a story about every one of these people in different ways have been touched by the war. And so this is a big story about what comes next. And that's like the question on everyone's mind, and it can either scare them or thrill them or excite them. And so Crash just the name Crash fits thematically into that because they're in the exclusion zone that's around the crash site in Voy. Crash as a character was a pilot, and he crashed a ship, and that's how he got the name Crash. Each one of these characters are reacting to some sort of cataclysmic or horrible personal event or series of events that happened in their past. It's not always the same kind of trauma, but it's a different explorations of these different themes and the different people, and how do we move on from the things that we often let define us, positive or negative. And so like there's some layers to why it's called Crash, and people are like, oh, is he the main character? And I'm like, sort of, but I feel like the entirety of the team is the main character, like he's just one of them. But yeah, that's the reason in lore why he's named Crash, and that's kind of the reason why thematically we've gone with that name.
Man, that's wow. I was expecting a lot less than that. That was awesome.
People usually like, so what's this? And I go into this long diatribe about like the thought I've put into the show, and they're like, oh, okay.
I mean, it's clear why the show has such a clear direction by this point, because getting to actually talk about this, it's obvious you put more than I think a lot of machinima directors put into their projects.
Some would say an unhealthy amount, even.
Yeah, because I mean, usually with machinima, you're trying to tell a cool story, you're trying to tell an interesting story, you're trying to tell a funny story. You pick a genre and then you just make something in the Halo theater mode. But there are some projects that clearly go above and beyond and have a plan. And those are the ones that really
the entirety of the series is now planned out, and we've had it planned out since like episode 2.
Wait, how many episodes are there?
So we're aiming at 3 seasons right now, around 12 to 13 episodes per season. That's the aim right now.
You almost had me jump out of my chair.
So we're in it for the long haul. It's all been planned. Somebody was saying that there's a lot. We have really cool fans who make art of shipping some of the characters together, which I take as a high compliment for my writing. It's like people like the ideas of these characters being in relationships with each other. And someone was like, "Don't indulge the ships." And then I responded to them on a comment saying, people commenting, wanting to ship things and stuff like that has no effect on my writing whatsoever, because if two characters do end up in a relationship or anything like that, that's been planned from the start. Like the entire show has basically been planned from the start.
That's awesome.
And so that's also why it's fun, because every little like loose end, it's not like we made it up and then we're going to figure it out later. No, like all the little hints and things like that actually are going somewhere that we've planned out, which is super exciting. Because I feel like when season 1's done, I think people will watch back and be like, oh shit, wait a minute. And then a bunch of other things will start clicking into place about the story. And it's super fun as we go along and things start clicking, because it gives the viewers a lot to like chew on. And it's super fun to write that.
It's fantastic. I'm excited to see where all this goes. So back to Kyle. He has a follow-up question. What was something you were worried about when it came to making Crash, but wasn't as bad as you thought?
Oh, gosh, that's a great question.
He's good at those.
I'm going to be honest. Everything I thought would suck did. It continues to suck. I was kind of on the money about it, so I don't know if there was anything that was like, wow, this is surprisingly unpleasant. But there's a lot that's unpleasant about making the show. I do it because I really love it, but I remember I kind of kicked myself. There's always this sort of valley of death while you're going through a creative project. Especially, I was like, so I I make the show practically alone. I do 95% of the show by myself. It's otherwise, I mean, now that we have modders, they're going to be taking on more of the load for special scenes and things like that.
Yeah.
And so I want to give them a lot of credit. But up until this point, I write, I direct, I do the body acting, filming, and editing. And so for the most part, I do the show practically by myself. And so there's a lot of things in that like range that I dislike doing. Like filming, editing, right now, not all of it, but like there's elements to all of it that are like difficult to do. And I guess I'm glad how easy modding has turned out to be, and how grateful I am for a lot of the people who are on board, because we have Spartan 277, Echo 482, we have Vengeful Vidam and Enash helping us out right now with mods, and so they're all super, super cool, super, super friendly. They're teaching me the ropes. Going to learn. I need a new PC so I can start modding stuff myself, because my thing's a clunker and it's not working well. But other than that, I mean, I guess like the thing that's the hardest, the most soul draining part has to be the editing.
Yep.
Like,
feel that.
Well, no, maybe the filming actually, because a lot of times filming, you'll film it and then you'll go into theater. And then you'll realize something's wrong, and you have to do the entire scene over again. And it might be I think that's the most the body acting is the most soul crushing part of it. And it doesn't sound like it would be. You're just like, oh, just moving the heads up and down. And I'm like, well, that's what you think. But then I always tell people that making Crash is like this never ending conga line of problems, where it's just one problem after the other. And as soon as you start modding and kind of breaking apart Halo 3's engine, all sorts of fun stuff can go wrong. So it's a pain in the butt, but it's worth it.
Completely understand. Well, this last question that we have actually ties into the filming process. Slap Nuts asks, if you could implement something funny, Connor.
That's a great name.
Just a great.
I don't know why you're laughing. Very serious.
If you could implement a certain feature into Forge/theater mode so that it made making the machinima a lot easier, what would it be?
Oh gosh, it'd probably be easier to list the things that I wouldn't add, honestly. Like, so one thing I would say is like, oh gosh. Okay, here's the thing. So this is just an editing thing, but like there's a mode in Source Filmmaker where you can move characters while recording, and then that recording will play back, and you can just do that over and over again. If you had something like that in Halo's, like, that would make body acting way, way easier, because as it stands, I do it on one computer, and I'm just doing Nucleus co-op with like 6 different instances of MCC running, and I have multiple controllers in front of me having to move heads at the same time.
Oh.
And so that's how I make the show. People are like, wait, you don't do that. You get body actors, right? And I just stay silent, and they're like, you get body actors, right? And then I just sit there, cigarette hanging in my mouth, like eyes, bags under my eyes. I'm like, yeah, sure. But no, I mean, a Forge mode that doesn't randomly desync would be, or not Forge mode, a theater mode that doesn't randomly desync the characters' locations would be nice, because that's caused a few particular issues. But that's more of a bug fix than a feature. Actually, I'm going to be honest. Mods really do so much. Like using the Sapien editor and tag test and stuff like that. It's basically just Forge on steroids. And so it's like, there's not much function I would need added in that isn't already available through that. And so that's a great question, but it's not super applicable, because I mean, the stuff we can do, Austin, I don't know so you said you hadn't finished episode 6 yet.
No, I'm about 3/4 of the way through.
I'm going to minorly spoil something. At the very end, we have custom in-engine animations done the same way that Bungie did the cutscenes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we were instead of sending the animations out to like do it in Blender or SFM and trying to match it, we just did the animations in the engine and added a trigger, and so it's an in-game cutscene, and it makes it look flawless. And we're going to be doing that a lot more. Maybe not super often. It's only whenever the story calls for it. Let me know when you've seen that point, because I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Oh my gosh.
We're also going to do some, we might be doing some audio drama stuff coming out soon. That might be pretty fun.
I'm a minor fan of those things.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know, there might be some stuff coming down. It's fun doing a very like story rich thing, because I can tease and like send out little things and like a fan chat. I've talked with some people on the server, and people on our Discord get like previews of stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super fun. Like, oh man, there's so much I want to talk about because we got some really cool collaborations coming up that I'm like bursting at the seams wanting to talk about, but I'm like, I don't know if these are going to fall through or not. So I can't talk about them. But like, as a fan of a lot of this stuff, I'm really excited for it. And so, but yeah, and I hopefully we can get a good workflow. Like Crash is my side job. I still have like a ton of other responsibilities I do. Hopefully, if I keep, if Crash keeps growing, I can make it my main thing. And so the episodes take a long time. But what was the original question again? I kind of just rambled myself away from it.
You answered it. It was, what would you want in theater or Forge mode that makes mission modes easier? You covered it.
Sorry about that.
You're all fine. Well, hey, we're coming up to the end of the episode. So is there anything that you would like to add as your final notes, like places that people can go and see the stuff that you're putting out? Is there anything that they can get excited about? Is there a release date already for episode 7? I want the full rundown.
Well, sure. Episode 7 doesn't have a release date yet because we are already kind of deep in work for it. I'm going to take the next few days to a week off because I was in mad crunch mode for episode 6 and just getting that out.
Yeah.
Some cool stuff. So we just partnered with a friend of mine named Fiend to do custom music for the show, original music.
I saw that.
We just released a small demo of it, and I think it sounds really, really cool. And it's going to be cool to kind of go forward on that. We have a little. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but we had a little kind of like post side thing called Dizzy Time, and we're going to be releasing Dizzy Time 2, which is going to be awful, and hopefully in the best way possible. Then we have I'm going to make an Alan Wake video and a Starfield video kind of separately, and then episode 7 after that. And we have a few. I don't know if you guys have followed the ARG stuff we're doing, but we're doing some lore heavy. Like if you're Halo lore fans, the ARGs kind of tie in some fun ways, and it's a nice way if you put the pieces together, you kind of get a good hint of where the story's going. Mm-hmm. Actually, some of the ARG stuff, if you know what to look for, you'll get some massive spoilers if you figure it out. But I don't think anybody will, honestly.
Well, we'll see if that happens because we got some pretty serious diggers here in this Discord server.
Oh, that would be fun. Honestly, like there's a lot of cool hints that we've hidden in I think people underestimate how much thought out the show is. Because I remember chatting with one of the cast, and he was like, so tell me about the story. I want the rundown. And I explained it to him, and he said he couldn't go back watching the early episodes without being like, dang it was right there in front of me the whole time. So many things. And I like, that's a good sign. I think that means I'm doing it well.
That's fantastic. I love it. Well, with all of that in mind, then we look forward to seeing what you put out next. Which I actually got to know: are you doing another one of those radio radio posts? Because I listened to that entire thing while I was working one day.
we already have 3 of them, and I would love to do more. It's just like the music licensing I do. It's like I'm running low on songs to put in, and I don't want to repeat songs if I can help it. I do have a potential idea for an Easy Does It Sunset video, which would be kind of fun to do.
Neat.
But for the most part, I mean, we already got I was thinking about seeing if we can get Jeff Steitzer back on because Jeff Steitzer was on the first one, which was super, super cool.
Yeah.
And getting a few other people who are that I've reached out to who might be, maybe showing up on the show pretty soon. Well, but we'll have to wait and see. We have some cool collaborations coming up. I think fans of the same thing I'm fans of will probably like some of them really, really a lot. I'll just put it that way. So without being specific. But other than that, no, I mean, I wouldn't say it's smooth sailing. It's going to be an uphill battle, and I'm just kind of sitting here trying to mentally prepare myself for it. But yeah, I think I'm excited for what we have to make. It's just more like I'm not excited about making it. I'm like, oh boy, here we go again.
It's daunting.
But no, I'm excited to have it done. And I haven't even started yet. So it's like, oh boy.
Well, we will look forward to it. For everyone who has been listening this entire time, thank you so much for joining us. Check out Crash on his channel, Boomerang, spelled B00MRANG. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite series right now. It's probably now in my top 3 that I've seen, and I've seen a lot of them. So fantastic stuff from him. Definitely check out all of his other content that he's putting out on that channel. And otherwise, if you want to join our community, hang out with Boomerang, who occasionally pops by in our server, it's really cool. Until he says something and then everyone ignores him.
I kind of come in there like, how do you do, fellow gamers? And everybody just kind of silent, and I'm like, okay.
It's because they like talking about cars. They don't like talking about Halo in the Halo Discord server.
Average Halo Discord experience.
Yep. So if you want to join that community and also ignore Boomerang, you can go to discord.gg/JumperScape, or you can go and support us, patreon.com/JumperScape, or greenlight a show, ko-fi.com/JumperScape. And otherwise, we're going to see you guys on Thursday when we go and talk about some of the community stuff as we normally do, as well as some other updates here within JumperScape. So Boomerang, thank you again for joining us. It's been fantastic. It's been a wonderful time. I hope you have a good rest of your evening. And everyone listening at home, I hope you have a good rest of whatever time zone you're in. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening, and we'll see you guys on Thursday.
Thanks, guys.
The Halo universe is filled with wonder, mystery, and fascinating discoveries around every corner. With so much to explore, four friends decided it was about time that they booted up their consoles and discussed this universe that has grabbed their attention since childhood. JumperScape Audio kindly welcomes you to join them in the library.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Library, the show where we usually don't do a video podcast, but you can see it on Tuesday because we had a video podcast, and it was fun. It was a good time. It was great. I had a great time. Did you guys have a great time?
I always have a great time.
You know who's also going to have a great time?
Who?
Our quiz guest.
Our quiz guest.
So
You can
smart.
drag them in. Thank you, Cheyenne. Hello. Can you hear us?
I can, just barely. Let me see here.
All right.
I can't hear you.
Fantastic. Okay, so welcome, Mr. Pone Star from the Discord. I don't have a fun fact for you. Is there a fun fact that you would like to tell to the lovely folks at home about yourself or what you do?
Yes, I love you guys. Love the show. My fun fact is I'm a Halo OG since 01.
Ooh,
Nice.
It's a fun fact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my stepdad during that Christmas season in 01, he went around the small town in Montana and bought the last Xbox they had, and it came with Halo, and I've been hooked ever since I plugged it in.
Wow. Okay,
pretty
so
cool.
like OG.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I feel a little bit less bad about this quiz then, because like, if you've been keeping up on the studies, this should be easy.
I'd like to think so, but there's always those little pre-quiz butterflies. So we'll see how we do.
That's completely fair. Hey, we're just here to hang out. We're here to have a good time, and it's fantastic. Hey, you're actually you're here during our time, first time in the video studio. So actually, because of the fact that we don't have a workflow in place yet to make this supernatural, and I don't mean supernatural as in supernatural, I mean as in super space natural, like a natural experience. You are currently a phone on the floor.
Nice. So I'm like the first guest on the quiz show, video show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the camera ran out of battery, so you're not on video. But
He's also not on the walls. He's on my phone now.
yes,
But you do get to be a
Wait.
phone.
You know
Yes.
what would be fun? You know what would be so fun?
what's that?
I don't know. We'd have to like adjust and edit our setup a little bit. Like the TV would have to be moved somehow, some way. But we put the laptop on that stand, and whoever's the guest, we just get a selfie from whoever's the guest, shoulder up, print it, and just plop it right there.
Put it on the laptop.
and then yeah, and then just have their audio like radiate from their picture.
We'll keep that in mind. I can think of some ideas off of that. But
I would do anything to get on those couches. Those couches are sweet.
they look very cozy. I of course wouldn't know. I'm sitting on it right now. I don't
They
know
got
why.
cup holders.
But it's a nice
I don't know why
couch.
you're lying.
I'm tired. I'm so tired. I think that's what it is.
Him and the cat are doing pretty good right now.
But hey, while I've got you here, before we start with the quiz show, I gotta know, since you're a Halo OG, favorite Halo. I gotta know from the perspective of somebody who was there when it started.
That's such a tough question. But I just have to say Halo 3.
Halo 3. Okay, so is this like factoring in campaign and multiplayer? Is this for separate reasons? What is it?
So I stayed up for the midnight launch when Halo 3 came out. I got the game. I ran back home to our hotel room. I played it all night into the next day. The multiplayer was fun. The campaign was amazing. I'm huge on the story. That's why I love your guys' podcast so much. And the story was just killer.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you're having a good time with the show. I do know you. I've seen you in the Discord a whole lot. I think you were actually the first person way back when the Discord had, before it had 500 members, actually. You were like, I'm the #1 fan.
Yeah.
It was super entertaining.
You guys saved my life one time when I discovered your show. I was driving from Phoenix, Arizona up to Montana, and there was nothing to do but listen to stuff. And I stumbled on your show, and it entertained me the whole way up there and the whole way back.
Do you think that there was one of those moments where perhaps maybe James was doing the thing for all of you who are in a large automotive vehicle? I just started screaming.
Or were you awoken by Connor screaming for Dick Hammerbush?
Every time it's mentioned.
When you guys get loud and holler, I get woken up pretty quick.
Well, now there's good reason for us to do that.
Yep.
Well,
don't ever stop.
Well, it's awesome to have you on with us then. Are you ready to potentially, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but actually our last guest, he won, but he didn't know what he was going to do with the Halo Infinite credits. So he doubled it and passed it to the next person. So I'm gonna update you on how this is gonna work because I even cleared it with our previous winner, Flyboy. Basically, the way this is going to work, normally you would get 500 Infinite credits if you won, but we've changed this rule a little bit. By default, now, if you win, you can either get 500 internet credits, Infinite credits,
500 Bitcoin.
Oh my gosh, or you can now choose to just get a random $5 game from Steam sent directly to you, or Xbox if you only have an Xbox, or PlayStation if you're like that. And if you do double it and pass it on, it'll just increase the value of that. So if we keep on doubling it up, I will limit it. But if you're like,
let's keep this train rolling. If I win, I want to pass it to the next guy. Let's do this.
All right, sounds good to me. All right, well, you already know the rules, I'm guessing, because you've listened long enough. Basically, you got 10 questions to answer. You can get 2 wrong. You get a third one. I'm sorry, that's game over. You've got 2 lifelines. One that's normal. There's a third person now that you can call upon to get the lifeline answered. There's James, Shane, and now my wife Cheyenne, who is working tech for us in this studio. She can also answer because she actually knows a shocking amount of Halo. Definitely not because of all of the conversations she was forced into in our relationship. And then you have a special, one of a kind, Don Lifeline. If you want to not take the blame of getting a question wrong, you can let him guess on your behalf.
Okay, that sounds fair.
So,
I'm glad I got my own category.
Are you ready to potentially win 1,000 Halo Infinite credits?
Absolutely. Let's do this.
All right. Question number 1. Actually, before I do that, if you get a question right, you'll hear this. If you get a question wrong, you'll hear this.
Social credit
Sick. All right, here we go. Question number 1.
No.
What happened to Nicole 458? Nicole 458 is a ambiguously canon character. She ended up dying on High Charity. She ended up in the Dead or Alive universe, or she joined Blue Team temporarily.
Oh. She appeared in Dead or Alive?
That is correct. Good job. All right, we're already off to a good start. I'm calling it. This is a dub.
We shall see.
Don't jinx him.
Easy.
All
You
right.
have too much faith in me.
Question 2. Who was the original Noble 4 in Noble Team? Just so you know, this is an answer that is coming from the Waypoint Chronicles. Is it Tom, Rosenda, or Emil?
Oh, the original Noble 4.
Yep.
Oh. Emil?
No, I'm sorry. That is
Social
not
credit
it. The correct answer was Rosenda.
And I will be honest, I did not get a whole lot in on Halo Reach.
Hey, that's fine. Hey, if it's ever really difficult to go through the stories on Waypoint, I understand entirely. Hey, there's a whole series about that, stories from Waypoint. We're translating all of the Waypoint Chronicles and all the fractures and all of the intel drops into an audio drama format. You can check it out now, streaming everywhere. Anyway,
Nice.
thanks. I thought it was smooth.
I can't wait for full-time camera work so you can see our shameless plug face palms that the rest of us do when one of us does it.
All right, question 3. Which Spartan had the final words of Spartans never die? Was it Samuel, Carter, or Kurt?
Yeah, I want to say Samuel, but I think it's Kurt.
It is Kurt. Fantastic. That guy is awesome. Miss him dearly. Okay, question 4. Who was the original Noble 6? Was it Rosenda, Tom, or Kat?
Crap. I'm going to use the Dawn lifeline on this one.
All right, Connor. So, who was the original Noble 6? Was it Rosenda, Tom, or Kat? And I'll just give you a freebie here. Just keep in mind that Rosenda is Noble 4. So
Yeah, we just said that one, and my option was
it's Tom or Kat.
Tom.
It is Tom!
Yeah, Connor!
The Dawn line of line worked!
Oh.
James, you look shocked.
Nothing.
All right. Next up. Which Spartan was in blue team before his fake death? Was it Fred, Kurt, or Arthur?
Let's see. Fred's already in blue team. I don't think Arthur ever was, so Kurt.
It's Kurt! Once again, Kurt is the answer to the end all be all. If he shows up later in this quiz, don't listen to that. It's probably not true. But, he's the answer to everything at the moment. Okay, question 6. We're on a roll here. Which of these non-canon Spartans was recently made canon? Out of these 3, because there's quite a few that got made canon recently, but out of these 3, which of these 3 just got made canon? Soren, Kai, or Cobalt?
Soren was already in canon, so probably Kai.
It was Kai! This guy knows his stuff. This guy knows everything.
Was that the second
I'm
option?
also a fan of the show, I will say. I'm shamelessly addicted to that show.
You know what? To each their own. There's no
Even
shame
though
in
it's
that.
not canon.
It's fine. I there's nothing that I can say. I own season 1 on Blu-ray, so
Yeah.
All right, so question 7. Fireteam Osiris consists of Locke, Buck, Vale, and Kelly, Tanaka, or Olympia?
Tanaka.
That is correct. Yeah. Tanaka. Oh, Tanaka. What is it? Holly Tanaka. Oh, Holly. What has it? It's Cortana. All right. Spartan Gold Team is led by Joshua, Kurt, or Jerome.
It's not Jerome and it's not Kurt, so I'd say Joshua.
It is Joshua. Correct. He's got this. This is going to happen. All right, 2 more questions to go, and then you're taking home the prize, supposedly. You might just hand off the prize to somebody else, but that's neither here nor there. All right, question number 9. Spartan Red Team from Halo Wars consists of Jerome, Alice, and Robert, Leon, or Douglas.
Red Team from Halo Wars. Okay. Let's see. Can you run those by me one more time, please?
Absolutely. They consist of Jerome, Alice, and Robert, Leon, or Douglas.
That would be Douglas.
It is Douglas. Okay, no matter what, you win. So congratulations. But let's get this last question out of the way. Sounds good?
Okay.
Fred's Spartan number is 104, 087, or 052.
I would feel really bad if I got this wrong, so I'm going to say 104.
It's 104. You got it.
Yes.
It is just 104. You got that. Only one question wrong out of that whole thing, and you managed to pull a correct answer out of the Don line.
Hey, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you, Connor. You were awesome, bro.
I just want to point out he came to me first, not you guys. That's an honor right there.
Oh man. Well, congratulations on your win. So does this mean you're going to be handing that off, or are you going to be actually have you had to change your heart? You're going to be hanging on to that now. You got something in mind you want.
I don't have anything in mind I want, so I'm handing that puppy off.
Okay, well then double it and give it to the next person. All right, well then that means for the next quiz show, whoever comes back on, that's 2,000 Halo Infinite credits, or it's a $20 game on Steam or Xbox or PlayStation.
You might be able to buy a coding.
That's might. You might be able to. Mine was barely there. That was annoying. Hey, Pwn Star, what we got you here? Is your Infinite customization? How's your customization game going for Infinite? Is it okay?
It's going great. I have the wolf shoulders and the gold plating with the white armor core. There's nothing better.
Nice. Okay, so you got it all figured out. I think you figured it out. Probably. Poor James was in limbo for a second there.
It sounds like
because of your coding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that white and gold's pretty clean. That's about the best there is. I'm with you guys on the colors not being customizable.
All right. Well, thank you very much for playing with us. I'm glad that you were able to pull out the win, and I think we'll just see you around in the Discord. Sounds good?
Of course, I'll be there. Thank you guys so much, and keep doing what you do. You guys do great.
All right. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
Oh man, that was nice.
See you guys.
See you
later. All right. So, I'm down to $20. I guess that's just what we're going through now.
Well, think of it this way. You haven't had to pay for someone to get theirs over this amount of time.
Imagine what happens if people keep winning, they keep doubling it. I just never have to pay
there has
it.
to be a cap on it.
There's just one guy who's like, all right, so for 100,000 Halo Infinite credits, you know what? I'm pocketing it this time. I'm like, man, that's $10,000. I would hate it. I would hate it.
Well, that's why you should probably cap it.
My cap is probably going to be, let's see, if you double it again, that's going to take it to, we're going to cap it at 40. If you want 4,000 infinite credits, then sure. But that's only going to be if you are willing to give up 2,000 yourself, which, if you're like that, you're generous, my friend, and you belong in the Discord. So with that all said and done, with my phone nearly dead, are we ready to do Patreon and reviews?
Yes. I can't wait.
All right, so I will say, I'm sorry, guys. I don't see Let Us Out Part 8. I don't see it.
Thank you guys for joining us.
I know it's the only reason why some of you are here.
Man, I'm not even going
to... All right, so starting off with the Patreon, starting off from the top, this is going to be a fun new workflow, trying to just go off of my phone. We have... Fucking hell, there's blood coming out of the walls.
What?
Jacob Adlam, Scion Esports, love you. Shane, we love you lots and missed you last week. Don't leave ever again.
I was debating on it today. I appreciate it, but I'm letting you know I was debating on it.
It's Default 456, Dark Salad 42. Trump voice, 10 out of 10, best Shane. One of the Shanes of all time. Would Shane again. Shane, keep being a homie, bro. Hounds of Meath. Linda Marie was never real, Connor. The council designed her just for you. Then we took her away to toy with you.
Why are they like this?
I don't know. Seth Rutherford, Spartan Dave, the one, the only, Dick Hammer Boys. Yeah!
I'm gonna mix it up on them one of these things.
It's a lot less loud just without the headset.
Right. It's more loud to me now. Now I can hear myself.
Captain Varco, UNSC Walk Softly, Cool Blazer, Mobag at y'all, and Spartan Nabucco G156, Steady Unstable. Welcome. You're new. Welcome. Vermin, Addy Criminal, Connor Clark, Dapper Dame, Dylan. James is saying Healy Father-in-Law.
Oh, I finally have one.
You have a saying Healy Father-in-Law.
I like it.
Lactating Gator, Lactating Milk MT, Sergeant Forge's Chipotle Shotgun, The Lactation of Mercy. Hey, Shane, come here. You're the council's favorite. Keep it up, bud.
Thank you.
There were tears in his eyes. Brennan Pfeiffer, Sky Cairo, Eliza, JX O'Malley, Keith Tears. Oh, wait, was there tears in your eyes because it was sad or because you're dying?
No, I feel terrible.
Keith G077, Mr. Shifter, James Zealot, Slapnut, Stewardship, Reborn, Tucker, Aussie ODST, Austin Murphy, that's me, Captain Hayden, UNSC Loaf, I'm pinching Hamilton. Damian Groth, Dr. Lactator, Face McShooty, Help, I Know the Secret Behind Linda Marie, the council's holding her hostage. Mr. Austin, Bring Me a Dream, bum, 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 make him the cutest Connor I've ever seen.
What? By the way, I just want to say, like, say there was a real Linda Marie, and she still listens.
And there's just like this whole lore about her without her ever including
She's gonna pop up one day in real life.
What?
It's gonna be like a WWE return.
I mean, we've talked to her in the general. I don't know about but like I've talked to her in the general
So
chat.
she is real.
Yes.
Or it's someone in the Patreon
that just
posting.
has the account.
Yeah, it might have like the username.
Linda, if you could just
password.
confirm that you're like a real person at some point, that'd be great.
Watch just another Linda Marie come out of nowhere.
Because I don't feel like getting gaslit by my own Patreon. So like,
It's definitely an interesting situation.
Pity 104, Shane, for as much shit we give you, we love having you around. It really wouldn't be the same if you weren't here. Love you, man.
Where is this all coming from?
I don't know.
I appreciate it, but I missed one episode like 2 weeks ago. I was here last week.
Sorry, I forgot to change my name for a couple weeks. Teko Vadamai, the Goob. Who are you people? Why did you take my money and why are you reading my name, formerly Zengil or Zengi?
Wait,
love you guys.
I'm sorry, but did I miss last week or the week before?
You missed week 4. You were here last week.
Yeah.
So are these behind then?
I guess, probably. I don't know.
Because these weren't here last week.
Why did you do it, Shane? Why did you kill my man Clap like that?
Huh?
A reference to Let Us Out. You killed Clap.
Oh. I didn't kill him. I don't know what you're talking about. It's a fictitious story.
Wow, I really suck at changing my name in time. X3GN, Claude Spark 5970, Connor in Shane's Bloody Shedman, Garrus Vicarian, Halo the Guy, Iskari, Kiri, Kyle Hooley. Shane is the drippiest guy there. Shane, could you give us your loudest scream real quick?
You picked a bad day to ask for that. I mean, I can.
Yeah, go for it.
Ah!
Cool, thank you. Warm Apple Sauce.
Yay.
Thank you so much, guys. You guys are awesome. You guys make this fun and also made our studio. So, all right, on to the reviews.
You're sitting in you right now.
We have a lot of reviews actually this time around.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. So, first and foremost, we have ClodoCat83. 5 stars, the story so far. It is the year 2552. Humanity has long been at war with the terrifying alien civilization that collectively calls itself the Covenant. This monstrous conglomerate of warlike species sees humanity as a form of heresy against their religion, a religion based in the single-minded belief that a great journey awaits its faithful, and that this journey can be embarked upon by firing an array of vast ring-like weapons scattered throughout the galaxy. These immense terraformed rings, known as halos, have been abandoned mysterious and long-vanished creators, the Forerunners. This conflict, terrible and destructive though it is, has recently been complicated by a series of cascading events. One of these artificial worlds, these halos, was discovered and subsequently destroyed by human forces led by Spartan 117, the Master Chief, the last fighting member of the legendary Spartan 2 military program, and humanity's last, best hope. He's not the last Spartan 2. Conflict at a second Halo installation that ignited a galaxy-spanning conflagration as civil war erupted within the Covenant, driven by revelations that the Covenant leadership, the prophets, had been deliberately deceiving its populace. In truth, these halos would not take the Covenant on a great journey, but rather eradicate all sentient life in the galaxy, a last resort defense against the most terrifying menace the galaxy has ever known. And a menace the deluded Covenant has reawakened for the second time in 100,000 years. That horror is the Flood, a sentient, all-consuming parasite that makes monstrous puppets of those it kills.
An entire essay about Halo.
Who put
Hey,
this
dude,
on the
we're almost there. Can you just let me read?
You know he reads everything on the teleprompter.
Puppets of those it kills and will not stop until every last thinking creature is absorbed into its ferociously intelligent plan. If it sounds weird how what I'm saying is because there's actually misspellings, but it's okay. I'm reading it on the teleprompter. The second Halo has been activated, putting all the remaining installations in a dangerous state of emergency standby. They are now primed to fire. Worse still, Covenant has discovered the long-hidden location of Earth and crushed almost all human resistance as it seeks vital clues to the nature of the Halo array, some of which may have been hidden under our very feet for untold millennia. Even with our newfound allies, the elites, and their valiant and honorable leader, the Arbiter, we are still hopelessly outnumbered. The prophets set their wills against us, and forces greater than the Covenant wheel malevolently into place, intent upon the destruction of all but the Flood. As the Master Chief hurtles earthward in a Forerunner spacecraft, he may be our last chance to stop the Covenant, the Flood, the ticking time bomb that is the Halo network, before every last soul in the galaxy is destroyed. The stakes have never been higher. It's time to finish the fight. So that's Halo 3. Next is from Yippee Bug. Yippee. 5 stars, wisdom. A wise man once said, roses are red, men use urinals. Halo may be infinite, but doom is eternal.
Hey. I like that.
5 stars from the Great Spartan 115. Evening, boys. This is the best Halo lore podcast ever. P.S. Connor, please let me out of the minivan. It's starting to get hot and I'm running out of Halo 3 rat jerky.
Ew. I have a minivan.
5 stars from Spinosauridia, saying, what could have saved Halo Infinite? I had an epiphany recently. It was while I was listening to you guys talk about the state of Infinite in a more recent episode, and your conversation got me thinking. Ever since the devs switched from seasons to Operation Passes, there hasn't been any new lore or story alongside the new cosmetics and customization. For a while, the operations were pretty cool. For example, Operation Spirit of Fire gave us the Mark IV Armor Core, and a fan favorite across the player base. But now, with passes like Tenrai 4 and Anvil, things are starting to feel a little dry. I personally don't feel like switching to monthly Battle Pass type content was a bad idea, but something is missing in my opinion. Here's what I've proposed. Each Operation Pass follows a chapter in the stories of individual Spartans all throughout the canon timeline. These Spartans would be using the armor and customization options that you would get from that particular pass. As you progress through the short story of that Spartan, you would unlock these customization options plus the Spartan points and such. Each of these stories could be something like a one-mission mini-campaign. These would inherently turn operations into small paid DLCs. While things like major voice acting and in-engine or out-of-engine cutscenes would be great, they definitely wouldn't be realistic. However, I think this overall idea would have kept the game feeling even more fresh and exciting, and many Halo fans and content creators wouldn't be complaining about a content drought right now. This could have made up for the content updates and the DLCs that never made it to the game. With Spartans and the rest of the UNSC being my favorite part of the universe, I would love to see individual stories about our super soldiers just being themselves, larger-than-life humans saving the galaxy inside really cool power armor. This idea has been evolving in my mind for a while. So what do you guys think? Is there anything else you could add to this? Or could you think of any better solutions? I would love to hear your responses. Also, one more quick question, but what would your ideal armor customization system look like? You guys are really awesome, and I always look forward to your new episodes. Keep up the amazing work.
I'm glad you like the show.
I think you covered pretty much everything.
I would like to customize the individual colors of all of my armor
Just
pieces.
give me
I will
Halo
say-
Reach customization.
I will say, sounds like a really cool idea. Hope they do it in the next game because this game is already dead.
Yeah, it's very
So-
I just hope that I really do think that no matter what, there has to be PvE content. Halo requires it. Hey, people expect PvE from Halo. That's just the unequivocal truth.
Didn't the last update like add one? Wasn't there like a mode with like Sentinels or something like that?
It's live right now. It's actually really cool. I forgot what it's called, but it's like Sentinel BTB or something like that. It makes it so that you have. It's sort of like Warzone in a way, kind of, from what I know. I haven't played it, like I said, so maybe I'm wrong. But it's really cool. Basically, it adds PvE to the PvP, so it's pretty neat. So last one comes from Alien Boy, 5 stars. What is Connor's relation to Don? What does that mean? Don Finicum? Like, what the Sigma?
You see, I was going to answer that until we put the what the Sigma on the end. So someone else ask, and I'll leave it at that. You lose me at any form
Connor's
of
his
brain
middle
rot.
name.
This guy.
His real name is Donald.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. James, yeah, he did it. Yeah.
I wanted to
name's
ruin the
Donald.
fun.
All right. Where are we at right now? That's fine. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to
Do a backflip.
3, only 3, because I want to get to the PO box. 3 of the Q&A, also because my phone is at 5%.
I'll give you mine.
No, it's too late for that.
Okay.
Okay, so Q&A time. We have a lot to go through. We really should catch up next time, potentially. All right, so first question comes from two questions from Flyboy Pfeiffer. Regarding the Saber program, why would the development of space fighters need to be so secret? Wouldn't the sight of something like that be as common as a Pelican or frigate? It's more about what the Saber is. It's a very specialized piece of mechanic. And also, if the Covenant gets their hands on it, they get better tech. It's kind of why the Saber.
Think of it this way. I'm sure there's tech and even aircraft that the U.S. government has made that
100%.
we don't know what it is. And most people, like,
Unless
even people in the know don't know what it is.
Unless
like,
another nation wants to around and find out, no one's going to know what it is.
No. His second question was, do y'all ever play the Halo 3 Arma mods? Nope.
I want to.
I own Arma, have not touched it.
I found out you like control like each individual joint of your body, and I got intimidated.
I was watching Flyboy play. It looks pretty fun.
Yeah, it's an entertaining game. I hope there's a 4 coming soon because it is a rather old game by this point.
Hey there, Halo fans. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our friends right after these messages.
C-Man is back and asks, what's the thing y'all like best about each other and how long have y'all been friends?
Like, do we each individually go and say like this is the end of like a family movie?
Yeah, that works. We'll do that. So, Shane, go ahead. Just one thing. Don't think
James.
too long.
Kumbaya, yeah.
Okay, just
Austin, your work ethic.
I can appreciate that. Thank you.
James, persistence.
It turns into stubbornness sometimes.
Connor's drive.
I do.
He
like to
means
drive.
his ability to drive.
No, that doesn't exist. No, no. It's not what I meant.
But yeah, I think I met you guys last. Like I was the last one to join the group.
Well, I was the first one.
Yes.
I slid you my my Xbox gamer tag in 4th grade. No,
Yep.
5th grade.
Yep. And then we played Orichi 2 and we were just kind of there.
I knew Shane in first grade.
Yeah, you and Joey were like one of the first.
It's more of like a
And Connor
web
was too.
of people who already knew each other becoming 4 dudes.
I still think that I was the last one because I joined. I met him in 3rd
I
grade.
guess you could maybe look at it that way.
I do. Because I met him in 3rd grade. You guys met way before me.
I guess I just think it's more liquid.
Liquid.
Like
a cat.
Yeah. Your turn.
Okay.
Whose turn is it?
Mine.
Okay.
So, Shane, your style.
Saw that one
big
coming.
fan of your style.
But thank you.
If I don't pick the style, your hot tub. That's one of my favorite things about you.
My hot tub?
That's kind of messed up.
I'm kidding.
I'm
kidding.
It's a secret card.
No,
Please,
for
let me
real.
come over and hot tub.
That's like something like I only go to. It's like that's like saying I love going to your house. You have a PlayStation. I don't have one. That's the only reason
gonna
I
sell
go.
my hot tub
the
to spite
actual
you.
the actual real one. The dedication that you've demonstrated in basically just kind of transforming your entire self. Because if you look at pictures from you from like
I don't want to talk
2021,
about it. I know.
you've inflated. You're big now. You're huge. You're like you could probably lift me.
Probably.
So yes, your dedication,
Oh,
James,
thank you.
your creativity.
Me, I'm creative.
Yes, I love your writing ideas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
big fan.
Thank you.
Connor, your ability to have fun in any situation,
Ah, yes.
even in situations that are ass.
I do like a good chuckle every now and then.
James.
Okay. Connor, you have the best comedic timing of anyone I know. On purpose and on accident.
So I don't know if I would take that as a compliment or not.
It is a compliment. I really do mean it.
No, I guess if you make it, yeah. I mean, I guess if you
You can
clarify,
brighten my day pretty easily.
See,
Austin, it's definitely drive, and I feel like I'm stealing, but your work
That's why I
ethic
went
is like
first.
scary, and I wish I could somehow be like that.
that is literally why I went first, because I know we're all pretty much going to say roughly the same thing.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Now say something about my style or hot tub, and
I
I'll gut
wasn't.
you.
I was-
Okay, good. Okay.
This is gonna get real corny.
Okay.
I think you got a really big heart.
Too big.
Hey, I got a medically big heart.
Well,
Yeah, but I more meant just like
Austin, have you been taking steroids?
no, I know what you mean. I
you know, like you're a very caring individual,
I try.
and And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I second that. I already said my piece, but I second that.
All right. We saved Connor for last. Why did we do that?
Connor, come on, say something nice about us, man.
There's smoke coming out of his ears.
Okay. I gotta say something nice about everybody here, okay?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to follow the trend with Austin here, like work ethic, insane. Like there's been times where like I've had my dad ask me like, what does he do? I'm like, well, outside of working for Zen B, he does a lot. Like more than you would ever think.
I can accept this. Thank you, guys.
For Shane, I guess there's been some interesting points in my life where you've come in and helped a lot.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
That is an understatement. But thank you.
Shane is basically the angel on your shoulder.
Yeah, and then James
And Hennessy is the devil.
oh my
Not Hennessy.
I thought you liked Henny.
It's Fireball.
Oh, that's
Fireball.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, it doesn't work if you go Hennessy.
Okay, so
Sorry.
please, James, don't distract from your own compliment.
I'm bad at taking compliments, so
That's okay. You're a nice guy.
And for James, I have to say James is just one of the bros, one of the dudes. He's a pretty cool guy right here. I enjoy his presence. I enjoy being around him. Yeah.
So he's just the best guy to have around.
I'm a guy.
True. All right, thank you for drawing that out of us. Now that's good for like the next 2 years.
We'll go back to being dudes and not talking about our feelings from here on out.
Yeah.
I'm sweating more than I should.
Yes. All right, so last question comes from Slipstream19 asking, at what point did you guys realize you weren't making it off reach?
It's
When the Pillar of Autumn took off.
When I died in the first explosion.
Okay. Honestly, honestly, no.
Oh, you mean the game?
Yes.
I thought it was like a double irony kind of situation.
No.
Like we are on reach.
You thought
like
so
it was
hard
real.
about it.
No,
You thought way too-
like when did you realize when you're playing Halo Reach, wait, I might not make it out of
I'm
this.
changing my mind. When Emil died, I'm like, oh my God, I got to get on the gun.
When none of them were in combat evolved.
Yeah, and you could kind of like look at it and be like, you know, none of these guys are in any other Halo games. I wonder why.
I can't say for certain that 11-year-old me even had that moment where I realized that when I played it for the first time. But also, I'm pretty sure the first Halo Reach mission I ever played was Lone Wolf with Shane on split screen because he was like, this mission doesn't end unless you die. So I just kind of knew that Noble 6 died.
Well, I think on my end, I was a very innocent child. I was like, oh, these guys are superheroes. They're not dying. I didn't even know that Reach was connected to CE. I was really dumb as a kid.
Yeah.
I had no idea that it was even connected. Even after I saw the Pillar of Autumn, I'm like, that's pretty cool. It's the same kind of ship.
I was gonna say I connected the lines like when I saw the Pillar of Autumn.
I didn't realize that was it.
When I heard a hood on the comms when you're going making a beeline for it. Yeah. Sorry, that tells you how I feel today. I'm sorry. Yes, keys, not hood. I apologize. When he came on the mic, I'm like, oh.
I don't know if Connor's even gotten off Reach yet.
No.
I said at the end when we died, I'm like, I know I'm not leaving when it said survive.
Oh, so he's gotten there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, anyway, we're on to our last segment. We have things in the P.O. box.
Woohoo.
One of them is from nowhere. No idea where this is from. The other one is
don't you know etiquette? You open the letter first and then the present.
But they're two different people.
You open the card first.
Fine, we open the card first. We have a letter and we have a package.
Are we not filming anything?
No.
Not today. Okay.
No. I haven't been doing it just because one day we're going to be able to record all of the episodes, and I'm just waiting. So, first one is...
We have a tool for this.
Not anymore. Yeah, we do. I just don't want to grab it. Okay. Whoa.
It's the deed to someone's house.
It's
not.
Wow. This is a lot. Wow. This is a whole letter. Okay. Here we go. It's too late for that.
There's another one.
This other one has like one of these things. Oh wait, it has tape. Never mind. We'll use it. Thank you.
We'll need the special
Thanks,
tool.
honey.
Okay. Dear Austin, James, Shane, and Connor.
Best for last.
I'm sorry, I read that backwards. Austin, Shane, James, and Connor. My name is Kramer. I'm 15 years old and I live in Alabama. I feel like I'm on VeggieTales. Or like Blue's Clues. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter.
I wonder who it's from.
You see, your guys' mind went to Blue's Clues. Mine went to viewer mail with pig.
Hey folks, viewer mail time again. This one's from Sally H14. Dear Pig, aren't you interrupting the story at the most suspenseful part? Well, the answer is yes, Sally. Yes, I am. Keep those cards and letters coming.
That's literally where my mind went at first.
I had a thinking chair.
You had a thinking chair?
I had an
It was
inflatable one.
Sweet. It landed on carpet. It's fine.
How did that even happen?
I just leaned forward to like try to scratch the back of my leg. My head bumped it and it fell.
We need to weigh down the end tables.
Yes.
All right.
That will happen.
Or maybe don't bumble around.
Sorry, sometimes it just happens.
All right, so my name is Kramer. I'm 15 years old and I live in Alabama. I absolutely love y'all's podcast, definitely from Alabama. And the following is my story of how I came to love Halo and how it led to me finding the library, a Halo Lorecast.
There was a gnat on the letter.
That's just the way it is. The first time I had ever played Halo, I was 4, maybe 5 years old. I was playing on my dad's Xbox 360 and it was Halo 2 or 3. I remember just running around in a forest being chased by grunts. I distinctly remember hearing a grunt yell in their high-pitched voice, "I'm gonna kill you, human!" and then running and hiding behind a log. I also remember I kept jumping off a cliff just watching Master Chief's body fall with the ragdoll effect. Yeah, I feel that. I just kept on blowing myself up with grenades in Halo 3. Several years later, I went as Master Chief for Halloween. It was a complete cosplay. It had a full helmet and all of his armor, and it was super detailed. It was Chief from Halo 4, by the way. I was not a huge Halo fan for a while. I hardly knew anything about it when I was Master Chief for Halloween. I just remember being like, oh, this guy looks awesome. That's fair, based. My interest in Halo was barely there for a while. When Halo Infinite's multiplayer launched into its second season, I downloaded the multiplayer. I played that for a while and felt it was kind of stale, though. Unfortunate. Fast forward present day, and the multiplayer is actually pretty good, and I enjoy it a lot. Just took a while to get a lot of stuff. I downloaded the Halo Infinite campaign mode and played through that, and I really liked it. I know Halo Infinite has its problems, but for my first Halo, I enjoyed it. So I became very interested in the story, and I backtracked to the previous games, played in chronological order when I went back to the previous ones. And I enjoyed the old ones, too. By the way, Austin, you aren't alone. My favorite Halo game is Halo 3 ODST! Yeah! I'm not the only one! I'm not the only one!
I wonder what they thought of Combat Evolved.
They probably thought it was awesome. They probably thought it was they probably thought that if they're talking about mainline games, that's their favorite Halo.
I just want to hear someone have the same experience I had. I just want to hear it.
A little bit ago, I came across the books and I dived into those, but I was confused about the order I should read them in. Literally a week later, I found the library on Spotify. Thanks to y'all, I completely feel that I understand Halo's story and the books make so much more sense. I enjoy it a lot more too, so thank you for helping me. I really, really just love the podcast. I have listened to every single episode and I've caught up to the latest stuff. I literally played Halo Infinite's multiplayer doing challenges for my battle pass and just listened to the episodes of the library all day. Y'all have my full support till the day I die. He did it in all caps.
Yeah! Whoa, that's a long time.
Given your age, we'll probably be dead before you.
Yeah, we'll be dead first, so.
Depending on decision making.
You know, health.
Stay healthy.
That was too far from my microphone.
I will recommend this podcast to anyone who likes or is interested in Halo.
We're wondering if I wanted a sip of water. I was like, no, I'm okay.
My parents won't let me use Discord, so I can't join yet. The second I can use Discord, I will join. He loves all caps in this case. I also don't use Apple Podcasts, so I can't write a review. I am there in the Discord in spirit. Since I can't write reviews or join the Discord, I will just send a letter from time to time, but only if you guys want me to, because I would hate to annoy y'all. Please keep it up. I love Halo and I love the podcast. It is my favorite podcast. I listen to 4 podcasts in total. There's a new game called X Defiant. Go check it out.
What a well-written letter, and I love every part of it.
That was right. Oh, a PS.
Shane let everyone out of your garage.
I take everything back. I take it all back.
The comedic timing was ingenious.
Hang on. And hit that yodeling pickle for me.
Oh. This is where I wish we had the video going right now.
Thanks for the letter, dude.
That felt really quick for the pickle. God damn. God.
Pause.
You guys, okay.
Okay.
I'm done.
So, Kramer, you went above and beyond for this. I do like how you put Dear Austin, Shane, James, and Connor in proper bold text at the top of the letter. You're following formatting really well. You'll make it in the email world.
Did they spell my name right?
Huh?
Did they spell my name right?
Connor, yes.
Wow, good.
Yeah. One of the few people that has done that.
Yes. There are people that do it in the Discord. And my name is right there.
It's literally right there.
Even if you type it out and at me, it should pop up.
Right there. They still do it wrong. Next thing. And feel free to send us letters anytime, Kramer. I'm totally down to read any of those letters that you send. This is just annoying. I'm just going to tear this.
It's from Keith.
It is from Keith, the faithful maker, as he's also known as. These are circles.
I like circles.
It's circles.
I like heavy circles.
I think they're coasters. Oh, they're coasters, all right. Oh, look at that. JumperScape Media.
Jumper coasters.
Jumper coasters.
Let me see.
Yes.
If it falls and you can't, well, what if it fell and you couldn't get it out?
It's way too perfect.
There's a way to do that.
There is?
Get it out.
Flip the couch upside down.
Oh my gosh, there's so many of them.
Okay, I was gonna say, is there two?
No, there's way more than that.
Spare coaster gang.
There's so many.
So I can take this home?
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Cool.
I would like to take
Each one of us can take one home here. Have that and hand that to Connor.
I need a coaster in my room.
They have names on them.
What?
This one has Austin on it.
Yeah.
Wait,
I say you gave me one that said Ashton, and I'm like, huh?
Oh, there's an Ashton one? Here,
Give
I'll...
it to her.
Oh my gosh, look at this. I think this is a Alexa cover. Connor.
Ooh.
This is cool.
Cheyenne. Spelled correctly?
Hey, they got my name right.
Austin.
James.
Donkey.
This one.
Thank you,
This
Shane.
one's just a general one.
This one's also just a
Funny
general
we
one.
pulled out the general one first, so we were like, oh, cool, coasters.
I didn't know they all had names.
Is that
on
an,
them. What? There is?
The one. That says Austin. My fault.
No, none for Ashton.
No, she got one.
What?
I guess
Oh,
James has it.
Oh, I missed that.
No, that's the one you handed me. I'm like, I'm not Ashton.
This is fantastic. I already know I'm going to throw this into my office.
well, I'm wondering,
I already know I'm gonna throw this in the garbage. I'm like,
we're recording Room 237, available every Friday at noon. Here tomorrow. I'm wondering if I should just leave this here or take it with me.
No. Leave the one that says general and 237 here.
Yeah. No, I was gonna leave the one that says Ashton here because she's gonna get it.
Oh,
we're gonna
yeah,
be
yeah,
here
yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, and then Keith, you can just listen to that episode when it comes out, and you'll get to see her reaction. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much for this stuff. This is always fantastic. Apparently, we have more stuff to look forward to in the PO box soon, so I'm looking forward to that. For everyone who's listening in our little video studio room, patrons, I hope you enjoyed the video episode. You're going to be seeing more of that as we experiment and test more stuff. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. It's going to be fun when we get to season 4 coming up in September. We have a couple more guests to get on the show first to really make this last remaining season pop. And then for the last episode of the season, we'll be just doing a general recap of just what Halo is, basically.
Awesome.
Yeah. So for anyone who is listening, thank you guys so much for listening. For those of you who watched the episode on Tuesday, like the video version, thank you very much for that. Feel free to leave any feedback. It'd be great. And yeah, we'll see you guys next Tuesday when we're talking about Halo Reach.
The library was produced and published by JumperScape Audio. Funding was provided by our fantastic patrons on Patreon. If you enjoy the show and wish to support JumperScape's future projects or get some sweet benefits, join our Patreon at patreon.com/JumperScape or become part of this truly special community at discord.gg/JumperScape. Thank you for your listenership, and we hope you enjoyed.